much Candace Owens pretty much said a lot in just a short amount of time. And by that, I felt it was coming and it was inevitable that this was going to happen, because Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk were it's a lot of Trumpers, like Trumpers, you know, people say, I'm not trying to throw shade, but a lot of Trump supporters, right? And her making comments about Donald Trump to people assumed to be her friend, someone that actually reached out to her before, even about Bridget Macron and Emmanuel Macron, about calling Bridget Macron a man, right? So you would expect her to like Donald Trump. So the comments she has made recently, we will be discussing, and what I think about that. And also, I have already figured this would happen over a month ago when I first spoke on this, when she was first speaking on Charlie Kirk. I felt like this was headed in a direction that is unusual for Candace Owens. Hey, I don't want to use a name. Let's see. I haven't seen you in a minute. Nina's in the building. Tracy, daughter of Yeshua, Coffee and Tea Woman. Hello. Sweet baby Jesus. I think I said Tracy. Pumpkin is in the house. Hey, y'all. Hey, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Hassan is in the building. Let's see. Stacy is here. Hello. Salute. And make sure, and Tasha, hello. Miss Sophia is here. Make sure y'all smash that like, double tap that like. So, and when someone actually on Twitter actually posted her post and said, you know, did she say this? She said, and I meant every word. I meant every word. That means Candace Owens is saying, hey, I stand on what I said. I'm standing 10 toes down. I meant every word of what I said. And she also felt like people came into her book club and they were stealing her content. Like, people are actually joining the book club just to steal my content. Now, she knows exactly what she is doing. She is talking about Charlie Kirk, dropping receipts, going against an alleged gag order, which I will speak on. And she knows that people are going to be waiting for any breadcrumbs or morsel of information from her as to what she's going to expose. So when she starts promoting her book club, people are like, let me join the book club because he might drop some information in there or some tea. And sure enough, she's in the book club and she's live. She's talking about Israel. She's talking about Donald Trump, and people are recording it, and then they're taking it out of a private space. Now, what I will say about online is nothing is a private space. You might feel like you have a private membership. You might feel like you have a private area or private space, but anything you say or do in any capacity online, people will screen record it, screenshot it, and they will use it for commentary or content on different platforms. Okay, so private membership, that's all labels. At the end of the day, people are going to use whatever they can possibly find if they are interested in that topic. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is how Candace Owens made comments about Donald Trump. So let's get into that first.
Betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock it off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking bullet. It's like as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you.
And there
just
you
know
go.
that he was.
So what do y'all think about Candace Owens saying, and as soon as they give you a holiday and a road and things like that, they have unalived you. What do you think about this comment? And who is they when she's referring to Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump, she lost faith in Trump? And she said, I meant every word. I'm going to show you a Twitter post that she actually wrote. And she says, she said she meant every word, okay?
Truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving?
So I'm pulling up her Twitter page to show you this tweet that she actually posted to her Twitter. And it says, Zionists are now signing up to my book club to steal my content. So she said Zionists are signing up to her book club to steal my content. Now, Candace, please don't play games. You know that you are intentionally promoting your book. At the same time, people are looking to see what you have to say about Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump, Turning Point, and everything else. You know people are focused on that. So they are automatically going to assume that you're going to be in this book club and you're going to be posting information. So they're going to sign up. And guess what? She is now bragging that, her books club signups are the highest she has seen. And she says right here on October 23rd, she says, I meant every word. When the feds are implicated, they always give people a holiday. So she feels like when the feds are involved, they always give people a holiday. And she says, sign up here to learn why Sigmund Freud says incest inspires their neurotic psychopathic behavior. Girl, people are not signing up to your book club to hear about Sigmund Freud. Now, Freud is interesting, but you already know people are signing up to hear what you have to say about Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, Donald Trump, and political things, right? So when someone actually is addressing the public about a public concern or a public topic, and they start promoting their album, Nicki Minaj does it, she'll be beefing with people, and then she'll promote her album at the end of it. That's classic marketing 101 for a lot of celebrities or people that are promoting things. They make a post, they know everyone is going to screenshot and share and discuss and talk about. And then at the very end, they attach their actual promo, their website, their anything. And a lot of times it can come across as insensitive because sometimes people actually do this when they're actually talking about something traumatic. And then at the very end, when you think it's like completely just a traumatic post, at the very end, they're promoting their album or they're promoting some sort of book or promoting something, a product. You're like, wait. So that's all marketing. I mean, if you're going to get publicity, you might as well take advantage of any publicity, negative or positive, and promote whatever you're selling. So that's what she wrote on the post. And right here, Nathan is the one she retweeted. And it says, Candace Owens is now directly accusing the Trump administration of unaliving Charlie Kirk. They definitely killed you, unalived you. He gave so much of his life to Trump, to politics, and they were just like, nope, that's it. So here's a holiday. So he goes over the video, like quoting her from the video, and says, anyway, see you guys next week, big smile. And he plays this video that I was just playing. This is her in her book club. And people were like, why are you not saying this on YouTube? Why are you on behind the scenes on a book club? And I believe, as I said in my last live, that she's testing the waters. She's trying to see who is going to react. Is she going to lose subscribers? Is she going to lose views? How are people going to respond to her saying negative things about Donald Trump? And that was her testing grounds, a small subsection of her typical large audience. But when called to the carpet publicly about this behind the scenes statement, she says Zionists are now signing up to my book club to steal my content. And listen, people, she says, I meant every word I say, what I said. When the feds are implicated, they always give people a holiday. Sign up here to learn why Sigmund Freud says incest inspires and she promotes her book club. Okay? And that's a lot in one post, but that's Candace. She always packages the serious stuff with the shock value, and then there's promotions. Like even in all her Charlie Kirk videos, she will stop mid-video to give that advertisement. She's definitely always thinking about the bottom line, the dollar bill, y'all. But I will say this time it's very much so different. And it's not just about clickbait with this whole thing. Now, do I believe that she will ride anyone's wave, including even Donald Trump, or even go after Donald Trump for content? Anyone can be content. Anyone can become content for Candace, from, Bridget Macron, First Lady of France, Emmanuel Macron, even Charlie Kirk, who was unalive, it immediately became her content. And even Donald Trump, he's prime pickings for Candace Owens content. Anyone that has a certain, status that she can ride their coattails and clout chase off of, then yeah. Now she already has one lawsuit with the Macrons out of Delaware, and that's for saying that Bridget Macron is a man. I can't even say that without laughing, because it's just so laughable that she's actually being sued by the First Lady of France for saying the lady is a man. Okay. I promise you, I'm going to work on saying that without laughing. But every time I say it, I just see Candace with her hair slicked back into a ponytail, pulled back, but with her head tilted to the side. And then with the shirt with the white lady on his hand. Man of the year, Times Man of the Year. I just can't. It's like, it's comical, to be honest, but at the same time it's serious, because now you're being sued, and the lady is actually a lady. It's not like, a man. So now you're in trouble. Well, technically she might not be, because Bridget Macron, all right, Burgundy says she's got a slung. Bridget Macron sued her. Well, Emmanuel and Bridget Macron sued her in Delaware. But Candace filed a motion to dismiss, saying, I'm not in Delaware. I'm actually in Tennessee, and my studio is in a basement in my home in Tennessee. So you are suing in the wrong, jurisdiction. So for jurisdictional purposes, it could actually be dismissed. But the latest update is for that case is that an amended lawsuit was filed. Well, the complaint was amended. So Candace and her, her legal team have until October 30th to file a new response to that amended complaint. And yeah, so I'm sure they're going to refile their motion to dismiss. Again, so that's a whole different topic, the Macrons. So I'm not going to get too much into that. Okay, I pretty much try to keep it separate. But yeah, this time, this video of Candace, you can tell that this is something different. That's why she even said this in a book club. Well, shouldn't a book club be about a book and not about, Charlie Kirk and the politics stuff you speak of? But of course, I believe that she was just testing out her audience to see what they felt and what they thought about her perspectives, and especially her mentioning, oh my gosh, she mentioned Donald Trump. Oh my gosh, y'all, listen. Candace Owens mentioned Donald Trump. And y'all know how people are about Donald Trump, that orange man with the toupee. Well, I didn't mean to say that. Well, anyways, y'all listen. I feel like I feel like she feels like she has been loyal to Donald Trump, and she has been loyal to a lot of people, and I feel like she's feeling like she's not supported now, and they don't have her back. And even with the Macrons, Donald Trump told Candace Owens, listen, Candace Owens, I've had lunch with that lady and she's all woman. Leave her alone. So Donald Trump told her to leave her alone. Leave Bridget Macron alone. Fake news, fake news. She's not a man, she's a woman. Fake news. Donald Trump said it, but Candace Owens did not back down, even though Emmanuel Macron said, listen, can you talk to Candace and let her know to kind of stop? They try to stop her before they sued her. Like, we're giving you a chance to stop this. Emmanuel Macron talked to Donald Trump. Donald Trump talked to Candace Owens. She acknowledged that Donald Trump did. And she pretty much said, fuck off, Orange Cheeto. I'm still going to do what I want to do. So she kept on doing it, and now she's sued, and now, you know. Now, I could have told Emmanuel Macron and Bridget Macron that Donald Trump cannot control Candace Owens and tell her what to do. So that was futile. It was pointless to try to get Donald Trump to tell Candace Owens to what to do. Okay, now let's not really dance around it. Okay. In the video, Candace is talking about Charlie Kirk, obviously. And she's trying to say that his death like shook her, and she's really justice for Charlie Kirk. Now, do I believe that she cares for Charlie Kirk and likes Charlie Kirk and was friends with Charlie Kirk? Yes. At the same time, I also believe that she's heavily motivated by money. And I hate to say this, but I am going to say it. Candace Owens, for a long time, has been a token Black woman, and at times it looks like a sellout. Oh, I said it. Don't at me. Don't at me. So she's someone that can be bought. I'm just being honest. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. So it is what it is. So she's someone that goes where the money goes and where the wind blows, and about the dollar and the money. So, you know, it doesn't matter if she has to turn on her own people, or even Charlie Kirk, or Donald Trump, or whoever she has. It does not matter. She only cares about one thing. And that's what you will see when you're looking at her pages, at her promo, at her ads. Candace Owens loves money. She loves money. Everything about her is marketing, marketing, marketing. How can I make $1 off this situation or off this? It's about the money. I'm just being honest. And she actually retweeted something about the Macrons. Like, she really wants to go after the Macrons so bad, but dude looks like a lady. Well, Bridget Macron is saying, listen, we're not playing with you, Candace. They're not playing with her. They have amended their complaint. They are wanting her to stop. And so far, to be honest, it is working for her to actually stop. But she did retweet something. It says, breaking, French President Emmanuel Macron's wife, Bridget Macron, discovered that her tax account on France's official government website. Now, I was just saying something about you, Candace, and now you reshared this. I was just saying that you moved on and you were doing better, and here you are. Candace Owens, I just knew it. Look, why did you do this, Can't? Y'all, I'm so done. I was just saying that she moved on now 5 hours ago. Here she goes. She says the excuse the Elise's palace or whatever has concocted as they suspect her account may have been hacked. Yet they confess it's impossible to modify account names, so they are unsure how such a hack might have occurred. I'm honestly so sick of this dude. Why did you say dude? Why did you say you're sick of this dude? It's a woman. Oh my gosh, Candace Owens, can you stop? And she's still resharing stuff about her being a man. It says, I'm sick of this dude. And it says breaking, French President Emmanuel Macron's wife, Brigitte Macron, discovered that her tax account on France's official government website listed her as a male under the name Jean Michel. Why are you trying to share this? This is not real. What kind of breaking news is that? And is that official news source for you to share? That's your narrative and you're sharing it. So now do you understand that now you have a new publication? Like, it's not just about old stuff from September. Now she actually has a new post as of 5 hours ago to screenshot and say that as of 5 hours ago, she was still resharing and saying I'm a man. Oh Lord, girl. Child, somebody take away her devices. So anyways, wait, Candace Owens went on Piers Morgan when? Is that old or what? Let me find out. She was on. I gotta go back to. I gotta see what they talked about because I like, debating against the Piers Morgan videos. So let me go. I'm scrolling down. Like, yeah, I was just giving her like props, like just leaving the Macrons alone. But then 5 hours ago, there she goes. Like, take her devices, ciao. And now let's see. Everyone should know who on a live Charlie Kirk is called Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson on the live Charlie Kirk. Hold on.
And Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, you know? Like, my phone's getting an update. I'm telling you, I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, you know? Like, my phone's getting an update or something.
Oh my gosh.
Something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I know I'm human. I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed, you know? I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean? And I just get that sense. I've always known it was demonic. And people just get on board because, as we talk about in this book, they are using science and this idea of technology and this idea of transforming society for the better to indoctrinate us into accepting this. And it's wrong and it's backwards. And the main component of all of this is psychology, right? They're able to do it because of psychology, making you think that society has gotten better. Our kids have objectively gotten dumber. We've become fatter. We've become less healthy. We've become less emotionally sound.
Yeah, Candace, I want to say this. Do y'all think that she's having some sort of psychotic break? Some people believe that she's having a psychotic break, and that she actually, I don't know, like these cases are so interesting to where some people actually believe what they're saying, and some people actually are just using it for content. They actually don't believe what they're saying. The way she promotes her book club and promotes everything, I actually don't believe that she believes everything that she's saying. But Some people actually believe that she does. I believe that she caters to the conspiracy crowd. Like she intentionally says things. I don't know. But she's targeting too many people, and she's acting like Nicki Minaj does. She's on her Nicki Minaj. Like she's really just targeting different people. And this is going to be her downfall. Let me say this. When I say downfall, I mean from the typical people that support her and fund her and back her, she's going to lose a lot of conservative base. And she's probably going to go into a cycle of being on one side is going to, like, a lot of people are going to drop from one side, and it's going to cycle in new people from the other side, or neutral people are in the middle. But there's going to be some sort of change in how she's viewed by a lot of people. And that's my opinion, okay?
I'm telling you, I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, you know? Like my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I know I'm human. I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed, you know? I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean?
So a battery will fall out, and you will have to be careful, because you saying that you stabbed them. Why would you even say stab? Like, you were almost that close to making some sort of, like, you're gonna be in trouble if you keep on going down this path. I just think that Candace Owens is not looking too good. And if she doesn't dial this stuff back, she's going to have a downfall. And some people are saying, let her, child, I don't know.
And I just get that sense. I've always known it was demonic. And people just get on board because, as we talked about in this book,
well, she said she always had that sense. So you always felt this way? You always had this sense? So you've been feeling some type of way about certain people. So did you feel this way before Charlie Kirk was unalive? You felt some type of way about certain people, or?
They are using science and this idea of technology and this idea of transforming society for the better to indoctrinate us into accepting this. And it's wrong and it's backwards. And the main component of all of this is psychology, right? They're able to do it because of psychology, making you think that society has gotten better. Our kids have objectively gotten dumber. We've become fatter. We've become less healthy. We've become less emotionally sound. And yet they are convincing us that this is like humanity's great leap forward. We put a man on the moon, and he just like called them up and was like, hey, Prez, what's up? I'm up here. Yeah, it's so cool. It's really great. It's nice. Starry night up here. Okay, I'm gonna text you. I gotta go by in 69. And they get these people, they tell you like he's a genius. They're all writing like he's a genius, so we should just accept that Elon Musk is a genius, because like all the writers who are obviously indoctrinated into the occult are telling us that this is the next person that we should worship.
The next person we should worship in a cult. So do you feel like there's some sort of cult? I'm wondering if she's feeling like there is some sort of cult or some sort of group that she's not a part of, and everyone is following a certain thing and she doesn't want to follow it, and there's some sort of cult mentality going on that she's picking up on. I don't know. Some people are believing that she's having some sort of psychotic break, or that she's losing it and she needs mental health help.
The establishment of Hollywood, it was all cults. They were all Aleister Crowley proteges who were just raping kids and summoning demons, and demons are real. So at the same time that they're summoning demons, they are making us all believe that faith is not real. And that has been, I think, the greatest trick that the devil ever played, right? Is making people think that he didn't exist, and making people atheists, making people believe that there's nothing, like you're here for a moment in time, because then it allows them to further tether us to their reality and to their God, which is money, right? Well, if you truly knew and believed, like I do, I actually know that this is not it. Like I know this is not it. But if you truly believed that, you wouldn't sell your soul. People think that that's just like an expression. Oh, he sold his soul. No, you are literally selling your soul. Like when you tell lies and you go down a path of lying because you're so afraid of not having the security of a paycheck, or you're willing to do something terrible to make.
Not having the security of a paycheck and you're willing to lie. But the thing is, you're lying about a lot of things though. So are you feeling like you're trying to get a paycheck, you're unsecure, you don't have the security of a paycheck and you're willing to lie to get a paycheck? Because you're lying about the Charlie Kirk unaliving. You're lying about that. It's Tyler Robinson, is not Benjamin Netanyahu, is not anyone international. Is actually a Utah scrawny white boy from a conservative family, Tyler Robinson, that, you know, unalived Charlie Kirk.
Maintain that job, or keeping your mouth shut to maintain that job. We're seeing it right now with the Charlie Kirk case, right? You're selling your soul. Like there's a life after this. They have made you pledge your allegiance to their dollar because they know life is going on. They know that. They want you to literally sell them your soul. That's my personal belief. It's why I am religious. It's why I speak about, you know, my faith openly, because I just know if this is not it. And I just know these people are demons. Like, I don't know. They just like, look at the way they breathe. Like, you know what I mean? Same thing. I look at Sam Altman. I'm like, look, I don't know. But I know that's not he's like droid, obviously.
So yeah, people are commenting on that. Okay. So anyways, let's go back to this other video really quickly. So that was that one. But like I said, she made a whole nother post talking about her actual, you know, book club and how she sold a lot of, I would say watch my last video I just made where I went over this already. But I wanted to kind of bring it up really quickly since I'm here. So she pretty much, the point of the post is, what I'm trying to say is that she actually said that right here it is. So on this post right here, October 23rd, she says, I don't know how they don't expect these lies to backfire, but today we had our biggest day ever in terms of book club signups. I'd like to personally thank Laura Loomer, Stephen Crowder, and Ian Miles for their tireless work. So she was actually, you know, happy that her, you know, book club sign up worked. So all of this, in my opinion, is all about strategy and marketing herself to sell, you know, sell anything she's trying to sell, products. It's all about money. She will say and do anything for $1. That's my opinion. But let's go back to this video right here.
Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you.
So what do you think about this book? Yeah, she's selling her book club. It's not really selling books. It's about signing up for her book club. Book club is where you go there and everyone reads a book and then they discuss the book of the week or the book of the month or whatever time period. So she's selling the book club sign up, and then they just read a book, a Freud book, right? So she goes into this video talking about Charlie Kirk, how she feels that she wished that Charlie Kirk had never spent so much time focusing on Trump and others. And she feels like they betrayed. And to be honest, it has something to do with his unaliving. Yeah, she has pretty much said that, alluded to that. And then she also said that every time the establishment gets involved, the person ends up unalive, and then they later honor the person. So they unalive. So this is what happened. People get involved, the person ends up unalive, and then they honor that person with some sort of, road with their name, or they honor them with a holiday. And she compared it to Martin Luther King, MLK. And she was like they give you a boulevard, a holiday, and a speech after they take you out, pretty much, right? And that right there kind of tells me that Candace is not just like mourning. She's really just calling something out. And she's hinting, well, not really all the way hinting directly, it's pretty much stating that powerful people inside of her, I wouldn't say her current circle, because the way she's speaking is as if she's outside of this circle. At one point, I would say she's in the circle of Donald Trump. And now I will say she's kind of up on the outskirts or outs. Now, just because people have a disagreement, it doesn't mean that they are no longer friends or cool, because friends can agree to disagree, but it's just the way her tone is. It's as if there's some sort of conflict or a fallout or some tension between her and Donald Trump for her to go on a public platform and say this about him, obviously, right? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but Candace Owens, as of like 2 weeks ago, she stopped making those Charlie Kirk videos, which, by the way, I'm still going to review those videos, those Charlie Kirk videos that she made, so I can keep up with what was happening. And about 2 weeks ago, myself, even for me, I was not even on my main channel. I was on my backup channel. So I missed those last 2 weeks of her videos. So I definitely am going to give commentary on those videos anyway and give my opinion on it. And what I want to say is this is a major shift for Candace Owens, because up until now, she has been defending Donald Trump and defending some of the same people that she's calling out. And now she's calling a lot of these people corrupt or having something to do with the unaliving of Charlie Kirk. Now, some people believe that she actually losing Charlie Kirk has made her snap. But when I listen to certain things she's saying, she says that she's been felt that way about certain people like Elon or certain people. So I'm thinking that she already had some of these feelings before, but now maybe that Charlie Kirk is no longer here, she finally feels free or emboldened or bold enough to come forward with her true thoughts. Sometimes when you lose someone, it can make you feel like, oh, I have, like more like courageous or, brave enough to say things that you might not have said before, or you feel different about life. Like you only live one life, make the best of it. Don't be afraid. Use that. But at the same time, everything always goes back to, it feels like Candace Owens is just trying to make $1, because every time I'm thinking that she's doing one thing, here she goes with advertisements, promotions, and bragging about sales. So then it all goes back to, and she also brags about views a lot. So it goes back to money. Okay, it does go back to money.
We just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on.
So there she goes. And speaking of which, like, oh, Trump served, how Trump feels about Charlie Kirk. People made jokes about it, but in all seriousness, when Trump was asked about Charlie Kirk, and he pretty much made a joke out of the whole situation, he started talking about his ballroom. So I'm gonna actually play that video, but could it be possible that Candace Owens feels like people are not really truthful about how they really feel about Charlie Kirk, and they're really not as caring or concerned or actually liking, they really were just using Charlie Kirk and not really liking him as much as they pretended to be. Maybe she feels like people are not mourning him or caring enough. Sometimes if you're mourning someone or someone is lost and you feel like people should be having more concern or care, and you feel like they're not giving you that, you can make you feel some type of way. I don't know, but certain things Trump was doing was kind of off-putting, to be honest, when it came to Charlie Kirk, I'll be honest. And look at this video right here. My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, firstly, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir? So he's asked about how right after Charlie Kirk is on the live, Donald Trump is asked about how he feels about, Charlie Kirk as far as how is he holding up. And listen to what he said.
On the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir? I think very good. And by the way, right there, He
says, I think very good. He says, and by the way, right there. By the way, right there.
See all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the...
Oh my gosh. They just started construction for the new ballroom. Really? Did you just swerve past grief and just went to the ballroom? That was weird. It's kind of like very much so like, and next caller, we're moving on. Like, what are we like? I'm very good. And by the way, look at those trucks. So like, really, that's what you're really concerned about is the ballroom. The ballroom. He said it. He said they just started construction on a new ballroom for the White House. Not a eulogy. So, that was his message. So I'm gonna play it one more time.
White House.
Ciao. So when someone says, when Candace Owens says that Donald Trump appears to not like he's guilty of something or whatever, he's not, mourning or grieving properly. And there's no right way to mourn or grieve, but he doesn't seem to care that much about Charlie Kirk, because she said, in her opinion, that she wished that Charlie Kirk never spent so much of his time on Donald Trump, because maybe she feels like Donald Trump doesn't care about Charlie Kirk as much as Charlie Kirk cared about Donald Trump. Is that what she's trying to say, or the message she's trying to convey? That Charlie Kirk cared more about Donald Trump and supporting Donald Trump than Donald Trump cares about Charlie Kirk, and how Donald Trump has reacted and responded to Charlie Kirk. Now, this is just her opinion. I'm just going over her opinion.
Are you holding up? My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
So he wants the media and the news to know about his ballroom. It's like someone saying, oh, how are you holding up the loss of your loved one, right? And then you say, oh, I'm very good. And look over there, I'm building me a new pool. Like, people are like, oh, wait a minute. You're building a pool, but I was just trying to express my condolences for the loss of your loved one. And now you went, directly to another topic, switched to another topic. He wanted the world to know his, his ballroom update. But you gotta admire the audacity of the orange man, Donald Trump, with the toupee. Most people, cry when they lose a friend. Trump just breaks ground and talks about his new ballroom. So I guess, they've been trying to get this ballroom for 150 years. So not only did Charlie not get a tear, he got, a presentation about his ballroom. I think the ballroom got more words per minute and than the actual Charlie Kirk. And that in this video, this is not a good video. So imagine this, you're at a funeral and the pastor says, we are gathered here today to celebrate a life well lived. And then Trump is there and he says, and by the way, we're adding a ballroom to the afterlife. Yeah, we're adding a ballroom, like, yeah, that's actually not on point or topic, and it's kind of problematic.
Charlie, may I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
Now, by the way, there's a rumor going around about, him naming the ballroom after, Charlie Kirk, and he says that's fake news, that's fake news. So let's pull up that article really quickly because we don't want fake news to be circulating about Donald Trump and his ballroom, his precious ballroom that he's more worried about than Charlie Kirk.
It's a holiday, bro. If they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you.
Dani for New York mayor. And with 60% of the vote, you chose the controversial renovations at the White House. President Donald Trump is adding a $300 million ballroom, but that plan...
What? $300 million ballroom? I think the money could be used for other things than a ballroom. Like, y'all literally are cutting funding for a lot of programs and a lot of stuff, and you want to spend $300 million on a ballroom? Oh, okay. Priorities.
Coming at the cost of the historic East Wing. Here to talk about the backlash, Trump administration's reaction, and historical context of it all, political contributor and presidential historian Mark Updegrove. Mark, always love having you on. The Trump administration continues to say and double down that renovating or even demolishing parts of the White House, none of this is new. But how is this renovation different than those from U.S. presidents in the past?
It's the sheer scale of what's happening. And we're used to adding things to the White House, but we're not used to taking things away, particularly something as historic as the East Wing of the White House, which was built in 1902, added to in the 1940s, and has been the home to first ladies, or at least the suite of offices that first ladies used since Rosalind Carter. So it's been a really important component in American history. And you can see by the 60% that you got in that poll, Andrew, that it really matters to Americans that this is happening to the people's house.
So why the East Wing, if you could speak a little bit more about that, and it's, specifically the East Wing's historical significance?
Well, the East Wing is to first ladies what the West Wing is to the presidents. That's where the East, that's where our first ladies work and operate. Also, it's where visitors enter the White House.
So pretty much, Donald Trump is really saying that it's fake news.
That he was true.
So if you actually hear about, the ballroom being named after Charlie Kirk, he's saying that's not true. So let me actually go over that article really quickly. According to ABC News, it says President Donald Trump says he has no plans to name his $300 million White House ballroom author himself. Speaking to reporters in brief remarks, while departing the White House on Friday evening for a trip to Asia, Trump denied an earlier report that he was likely to add his name to the new ballroom. I don't have any plan to call it author myself, Trump said. That was fake news. Probably going to call it the presidential ballroom or something like that. We have not really thought about a name yet. Earlier, senior administration officials told ABC News that some in the administration were already referring to it as a President Donald Trump ballroom and that the name was likely to stick. The White House claims they have released the full list of donors to the project on a list of those donors provided to ABC News by the White House. So people are saying the ballroom is going to be named after Charlie Kirk, but I didn't see that. Some people want it to be named after Charlie Kirk. So I guess some MAGA supporters are wanting it to be named after Charlie Kirk, but it has not been officially named yet as far as what it's going to be, okay? So there is nothing is official about it, but we do know that Donald Trump prefers to talk about the ballroom more than he likes to talk about Charlie Kirk. That's what we do know. And speaking of which, just because you don't go to someone's funeral or even vigil, it doesn't mean you don't care about the person. But some people will obviously talk about whether or not you go. And according to TMZ now, it said President Donald Trump was missing in action from the Kennedy Center's vigil for late conservative Charlie Kirk Sunday night. It says choosing instead to enjoy a weekend away at his golf club in New Jersey. The White House said Polchis was in New Jersey at the Trump National Golf Club this weekend, where he attended the Hope Through Education and discussed Kirk's fatal shooting. So people are saying while everyone was at this vigil for Charlie Kirk, that Donald Trump was elsewhere playing golf. It says Trump was in Washington, D.C. on Sunday evening. He returned to the White House residence at 6:30 p.m. when people were lined up at the Kennedy Center about a mile and a half away to remember the underlying conservative commentator. In fact, the vigil started at 6 p.m., so Trump's decision to skip out on the evening is noticeable, especially as 85 members of Congress and his MAGA allies made appearances. Everyone from House Speaker Mike Johnson, they named different people, were there, but Trump was missing in action. So Candace Owens, could she be, her saying that she feels like Donald Trump was, someone that wasn't probably as supportive as Charlie Kirk was to him, and that she wished that Charlie Kirk never spent so much time being so loyal and faithful to Donald Trump. Why would she actually say that? Now, I'm just guessing that it's possibly because she's feeling like Donald Trump is not as much Team Charlie Kirk as she wants him to be Team Charlie Kirk. Again, on the flip side, can you actually just say just because someone isn't doing everything that you feel they should be doing, it means that they don't care about the person? But in my opinion, I hate to say this, but Donald Trump, that video on the golf course was not a good look. It came across insincere, uncaring, and that you were just caring about your ballroom. So, and then, you missed the vigil. It's just a lot going on with Donald Trump. But am I surprised? Not really. So my question is, why would anyone be surprised at how Donald Trump is acting? I'm not. So I guess I'm like more shocked that people are shocked. Yeah, I'm more shocked that people are shocked about Donald Trump's reaction to anything. Okay, yeah. So anyways, he wants to spend $300 million on a White House ballroom and then cut funding to other programs that are more needed or necessary. But I guess the ballroom, is important and relevant at this stage when I guess other things are running out of funds. I don't know. But anyways, let's go ahead and get back to this video right here real quick so I can finish up my thoughts on this one.
Trade in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith.
So here's the thing. She says, made her lose faith in politics. This is actually important for someone like her, a political commentator, to say lose faith in politics. That's like a singer losing, like having no more interest in music. An artist or a painter have no more interest in painting. It's not really the equivalent, but when you lose interest in something that you're passionate about and that you're known for, that's actually a big change in, and not just lose interest. So I say lose faith. You lose faith in it. That's not good. It's like what you thought something meant or what it was about or what it could do, the possibilities, how it can impact change or influence things, and you lose faith in it. That's actually a moment, a pivotal point in your life where you might, make other changes. But I will be honest because I'm an honest person and I'm gonna be blunt. That's what I do. For years, Candace has been the go-to voice for a lot of the conservatives. I'm saying it. Conservative movements, the go-to voice for the movement. And let's call it just what it is. And people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but I'm going to say it like I did in my last live. She has been, for a lot of people, a conservative token Black woman. She has been their token Black woman, mouthpiece and voice. I've said it. She has been the one that has been used for a great deal of time to push narratives, to push buttons, to push certain agendas, certain messages, and to attack a lot of Black people, Black figures, Black politicians, Black historical leaders. A lot of topics she has been used for, and attacking liberal Black figures as well, mocking protests, and pretty much being the mouthpiece saying what her audience could not say out loud without backlash. Like they can't really say it. A lot of her audience can't really say the things that she says, but as a Black token mouthpiece, she can pretty much say it. So that is one thing I want to say. And that came with, obviously, that's going to label you as a sellout, because I remember a while back, people are not saying as much as they used to, but they used to, when she first was coming out and really coming out here and being known, people were calling her a sellout. That's what Candace Owens was known for, being a token and a sellout. And that comes with benefits. I mean, you get a large audience, you get a platform. That comes with a certain status as well, but it also comes, to be honest, with it comes with attachments and requirements and obligations and limits and constraints, and there is going to be you have to do your job. You have to do your job, or else if you don't do it, then you start not being obedient, then you can have issues. Yes, Amasa, you gotta be that mouthpiece and token. You're not to have your own voice, completely your own voice. You have to deliver the messages for that. And what's crazy is that she spoke on this about Charlie Kirk, how he felt like he was being controlled, how he felt like even if he were to tweet something or say something about Benjamin Netanyahu, he could lose funding and backing. And that is a form of control. So how can someone have freedom of speech if they know that if they give out certain messages, tweet something, say something, do something that their supporters or fans don't like, and then now they're going to lose support? So are you really someone that has freedom of speech if you know that, yes, I have freedom of speech, but it has consequences? And if I freely use my freedom of speech, I can face consequences for what I say. So no one, to be honest, has freedom of speech fully without consequences. So I hate when people say, "Oh, you have freedom of speech." Yes, but it has consequences. So everyone knows those consequences are going to stifle you, and then now you're gonna be punished. To me, freedom is when you're free to say it and there's no consequences out there. If I can't say something without the consequences, then I don't have freedom. It's like, okay, well, you say this, I'm gonna whip you. Okay, so then I don't have freedom because you're gonna silence me and shut me up because I'm gonna get whipped if I say it. That's not freedom of speech. That's social control, and that's control. Okay, so now we have to go back to Charlie Kirk probably being afraid to speak out publicly about Benjamin Netanyahu without losing some funding and support. So was he someone really that had complete freedom of speech? People would think so, but not if he felt that he couldn't speak on everyone. Maybe he felt like he could speak on Black people or gay people or this community or that community freely, but when it came to Benjamin Netanyahu or someone that was supporting financially or backing other people surrounding him, he felt like he couldn't speak on those people. Okay, so again, that's not 100% freedom of speech. So Candace Owens, she's now doing something that is probably going to backfire her because she built her audience off of conservative backing. And she built her audience off of a lot of, people that support Trump, so she has to be careful. If she starts ripping him apart, now I'm not going to lie, if she starts ripping Trump apart and just tearing into him, I'm going to be laughing. Okay, I will be. Just don't pull his toupee off and throw it because it's highly flammable. Okay. But she's gonna lose some of her audience people, but I feel that she will also gain people. So people don't realize it, but sometimes when you lose people from one side, you gain from the other. So you really don't even notice the difference. You might notice the difference at first in the sudden drop, but once people catch on or realize that you're switching sides and you're switching your thinking and processes and your rhetoric and your politics, they're actually you're gonna draw in a new audience. So some people are okay with that shift. And sometimes when you're shifting over, it's hard, but I mean, it is what it is. I speak for myself. I'm going to say what I want to say because online, I'm going to use my freedom of speech. And I will be blunt and just give my opinion, okay? So yes, it comes with benefits to be the mouthpiece and the token. And you get put on a pedestal, but that pedestal, you have to understand you're not in full control because the moment you start speaking something that people don't like, they're going to take you off that pedestal. Okay. Yeah. So with that whole thing, she can challenge the left and go at the left and, radical left, whatever you want to say, Democrats. She could challenge feminism. She can go against the culture, her own culture. But challenging Trump, I was like, I didn't really want to believe that she was actually challenging Trump and bringing up Trump's name. Trump? What? Like, I was like, is this AI? Is it fake? Is this real? And I went to her page. She was actually sharing the video. I'm like, that's real. And we're in the age of AI, by the way. So it's not for someone to say, hey, is this AI? Because these days you never know. So I had to go to the official page and I'm like, okay, she shared it and she says, and I meant every word. I'm like, oh, okay, so it is real. She is, taking shots at Donald Trump. And like I said, she now that that's what kind of built her, that conservative Trump base. It has been building her. I thought it was risky for her to go at Charlie Kirk, not go at Charlie Kirk, but to start, adding him to her conspiracies. And I saw some people from Turning Point and others like not really liking that she was doing that. I'm like, oh girl, you're not supposed to be, going against what they say. Remember your road, child. Remember, you the token mouthpiece. You're not supposed to have your own mouth. Your mouth's supposed to be moved up and down how they want it to move. Okay. But she's doing just that. So we have to think about it. She's doing exactly the opposite. She's actually speaking against some of these people. Elon Musk, all these other people. She's speaking to Donald Trump. She's speaking against these people. So I'm like, trouble's on the horizon for you, child. Ooh, yeah. She's pretty much questioning that same body of people, or what she says cult. I won't say cult. She's the one that said something about right cult or something. These people have boosted her career and kind of built her up. So remember what people say: the same people that built you up can probably tear you down unless you have a good strategy to not allow it to kind of shift from one. If you actually are someone that knows how to shift, you can actually shift between different groups. If you don't, then that can lead to a downfall. So I think that she's trying to test the waters out and try to shift a little bit, but not too much and too drastically. She's trying to slowly do it. And I believe that's why she did it in her book club and said this in her book club, to test this in her small group or a small subsection of people. But this is the internet, so obviously it got out and leaked out to the public, and she probably didn't want that, but it is. And to be honest, she probably did want it, but I do believe that I've done that before. You test something out to a small audience or members only, see the reaction, see the response, and then from there you take it publicly based on that sort of like testing group or test phase, whatever.
In Trump, and my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics, and they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday, bro. If they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard.
So she really does not like Benjamin Netanyahu. And the thing about her bringing up MLK is a big sign to me, because it's not just about her, like, MLK, when you're talking about Charlie Kirk, is about more of a pattern. Like, even when you think people are on your side, they will kind of take you down when you're not playing your role or you outgrow your role. And that's what she's going to be facing herself. She doesn't realize it, or maybe she does realize it, and that's why she's in her members only, our book club private setting, that she is not someone that's just supported just because she's Candace Owens and because of, her individual, what she brings to the table. She's liked by a lot of people because of what she does for them, what she does for the movement and for the agenda. And the moment she does not completely comply or go along with that agenda, then it could, like, she can lose her place or her status, or she won't be as supported or backed by the people, and they are going to remove support or backing, and then you'll pretty much be cast out. So you really wasn't really a part of this group, or you were just being used for what you could possibly give to it, right? And with MLK, she's also talking about, someone that, to be honest, Charlie Kirk said negative things about MLK. And for her to actually use MLK as a reference, like, oh, he was unalived, and then now they're honoring him later. You know what I'm saying? For her to even bring that up. I just see, to be honest, that it's a lot of turning points going on with Candace Owens. And some of this stuff, to be honest, seems a little bit like she's going too far to the left. And I don't mean politically. I mean, she's going too far with the conspiracy, saying that people look like Area 51 people or something. Like, it's just going, it's a little too much. So I'm a little bit like, when it comes to this video, that's one thing. But when it comes to saying people are not human, that's when it gets to, she probably needs to be a mental evaluation. I'm just being honest. Or possibly it's all about money. So let me know what you all think. I just felt like that video was a little bit creepy.
The holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you. We just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock it off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you.
Okay, so let me actually move on to the next thing. So I'm actually going to pull up the documents. This live is not going to be that much longer. I actually want to go over the Charlie Kirk documents. So just a second.
I want you to grab your cell phone, and I want you to go to your text messages and search for certain terms, okay, that you just use when you speak to your friends. Terms that were just casually tossed into a conversation, the alleged conversation held between the 22-year-old alleged killer of Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robertson, and his 22-year-old boyfriend.
So Sophia believes, she thinks it's a little bit of both. I'm actually going to put up a poll, okay, and see what you all think. So Pumpkin says, write a little of both. It's kind of like, every time I think that it's something mental happening, I just think about the Bridget McCrone situation that she's in. And this is what I think. Here's what I think. Listen to a little bit here. When someone is mental and they actually believe what they're saying, like let's say someone is schizophrenic, they believe what they're saying. Like, let's say that they believe that Bridget McCrone is a man, for real, a man, and that person used to be Gene, her brother, and then now became Bridget. It's so laughable, okay? If you tell them that you're going to sue them, they really won't really care, because in their true heart of hearts, they are believing that is true, okay? And with someone like Candace Owens, now that she has been sued, and the motion to dismiss is not about saying, it is true, you're a man, you're a man, you're a man. Because right now, the motion to dismiss is not about arguing the merits. It's about it's about jurisdiction and procedural things, like this is the wrong venue, this is the wrong jurisdiction, this is a failure to state a claim. Those are all jurisdictional things, right? So they have not got to the part where they really argue. However, I did see that Candace was saying that some of the pictures that Bridget McCrone has posted are fake or they're not authentic, and they're, at one point she was using those pictures to kind of point to how Jean became Bridget, but then later when she was getting sued, she started saying that the pictures were they were inauthentic, they were fake. So how at one point you're using those pictures to kind of prove that he became her, and then later now the pictures are fake. It doesn't make any sense. So in that way, when a liar is called, a liar changes their story, and they keep on changing their story, and they're trying to get out of trouble, and they're making up stuff, they're switching up their story. When someone is schizophrenic, they really don't change or switch up their story like that. If they said you are a man, they're going to keep on saying you're a man, and no matter what, you're going to say you're a man, and they're not going to keep on changing their story or trying to get out of trouble or backtrack or backpedal. With liars, you're going to see a lot of backpedaling and changing their story, or switching things around. They're because they're caught. So if I notice a lot of backpedaling and changing of narratives and changing of stories and trying to weasel their way out, like Jag saying that the video was AI, someone, her saying the video is AI and then later backpedaling and getting caught up, that's a liar. And I hate to say this, but a lot of times it could be seeming like someone is mental, but they're actually just a pathological liar. And I think sometimes people forget that there's actual con artists in the world. I forgot the name of the movie, but there was a guy who all he did was con people and con. There are con artists, and their job is to con people and trick people. It has nothing to do with the mental illness. They know right from wrong, but their goal is to con and trick and scam and con. And fraud and scam, and they're doing it with the right mind. Their goal is to trick you. That's what it is. Okay, there was even like the Derek Cardillo Smith guy. He's in prison and he forges documents. He intentionally forges documents. He knows that those signatures are not real. He's intentionally forging it, and then things like that. So I think that when we see something abnormal, we automatically think it's mental health, when sometimes people are intentionally just psycho and sociopaths, and they are con artists, and that's what they do, and it has nothing to do with their mental health. But sometimes two things can be true. A con artist can also have mental health issues. I don't really believe that she has mental health issues. Could I believe that she has a personality disorder, which people can say falls under some umbrella or category? People hate to say narcissists or borderline personality and all those personalities, especially narcissists. But to be honest, a lot of people that are creators or have a platform or a lot of influence, a lot of people are narcissists. And I hate to say this, but a lot of times their narcissism is what helps them to get that platform, because sometimes narcissists are charismatic people, or they know how to manipulate or con or get their way to a certain status. It is true. Okay, so that's how it can become where a lot of people on platforms are narcissists.
And Lance Twigs, okay? The first term I want you to search is retrieve. Yeah, look it up. When is the last time that you used the word retrieve between you and a friend? Retrieve. I'm going to retrieve something. I played this game with my entire staff, and I was able to find, since dating back for the last 3 years.
I'm actually going to pause here. So we're going to go a little bit of this video. Candace Owens trying to argue that Tyler Robinson did not unalive Charlie Kirk, and then we're going to look at the documents. It's like 141 pages, okay? But to close up what I was saying before about her being a mouthpiece, because I want to make myself clear, I believe, as I was saying, she's going to gain a little bit of respect from certain people that feels like she's waking up and things like that. Now, do I believe that she's going to completely flip sides? No, I do not. That's too risky, and I don't think that she feels like that's going to bring her the money. She's going to try to find some middle ground. There are some people that are conservative that are losing faith in Donald Trump. Let me repeat: there are some people that voted for Trump that are losing faith in him. So she's not just like a small. It's not just her. So she's gonna gain that audience. Some people that are conservative, but they don't like Donald Trump, or they're Republican and they did not vote for Trump. Okay. People think that all Republicans automatically vote for Trump, and that's not the case. Some of them, they actually did not vote for Trump. They don't like Trump, but they're they consider themselves Republican or conservative or whatever. So she's going to gain some respect from people who used to side-eye her. Okay. Folks who thought she was just a mouthpiece with no brain of her own and just a complete follower of Trump without any pushback. So some people are actually going to kind of like tune in a little bit to see where this is actually going. They might feel like she's finally calling it how she sees it and speaking up or actually waking up or something. But let's be honest, some people are not going to really embrace her. They're going to be like, yeah, girl, like just like they have done other people that have tried to like change up or switch sides or flip a little bit. Candace has said and done, to be honest, to a lot. She has said and done a lot to a lot of people to be fully accepted by everyone on the opposite side. So I believe that she's going to be in an awkward spot, in an awkward pickle, or in a predicament, should I say, of some sort of middle ground with those people that are still conservative or like former Trumpers or Republicans that are Republicans but did not vote Trump, and some sort of middle grounding. So not necessarily on the right and also not on the left, but somewhere in the middle somewhere. So, but that will create interest. So that's what I want to say. Will create interest in Candace Owens to see where she's going to go and where she's headed and how people are going to react to her new messaging of saying things disfavorable towards Trump. Okay. But yeah, child, you're going to find out soon, child, what it's like when you stop being the mouthpiece, when you stop being the token, and you use those people to boost you up and to boost your head up and to boost you to where you're at now, and talking down on those same people, child, they're gonna try to take you down, baby, down. So we'll see if they're going to try to cancel you, or you'll be able to reinvent yourself, or what's going to happen, Candace. We don't know. And then also you have this Bridget McCrone lawsuit, so you have a lot going on. And even as of 6 hours ago, you're still calling Bridget McCrone a man. And I hate to say this, but I believe that she believes that she could be Charlie Kirk. And let's be clear, I'm not talking about being unalived. I believe that she feels like she could be Charlie Kirk, that they're both political commentators. They both were backing Trump. She feels like she has a lot in common with Charlie Kirk, and she's feeling like she even said, "Oh, I don't want a holiday out the meet." Like she's feeling like this could be her. Like this could have been her, because she does a lot of things he does. Like goes to events, does these talking points. She does a lot of things that he does. So I think she's worried about her place and how people use her or operate with her. And metaphorically, she said even that she could be next for a holiday, like, you know, they give you one after they're done using you. So I just feel like there is something there. Something, and also some people have a little bit of a psychotic break or something when they lose someone they love or they cared about, and then that could snap them into something else. So there could have been something triggering for her or something that snapped in her when Charlie Kirk was unalive. And it's not just about money. Two things be true at once. Yes, it's about money, but there's something in her that also snapped. I don't know. So I'm going to put up a poll and see what you all think about it. Okay. So in this video, at the same time, let's be clear. I still believe money is the motive, but I also don't just think it's about money. It's something more. Now, what the something more is, I have not nailed it, but I will be reviewing her videos, her Charlie Kirk videos, so I can try to see what I really think about Candace Owens and her true intentions or agenda. Y'all know I'm into that because I did the same thing with Legina Gold.
Were just casually tossed into a conversation, the alleged conversation held between the 22-year-old. All right, you guys, let's actually start today's episode with a game. I mean, the feds like to play games. Let's play a game. And this is one that everybody can join in on, okay? It doesn't matter how.
Oh, wow. She's throwing shots immediately. The feds like to play games. From the very second the live starts, she throws shots at the feds.
Old or young you are. I want you to grab your cell phone and I want you to go to your text messages and search for certain terms, okay, that you just use when you speak to your friends. Terms that were just casually tossed into a conversation, the alleged conversation held between the 22-year-old alleged killer of Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robertson, and his 22-year-old boyfriend, Lance Twiggs, okay? The first term I want you to search is retrieve. Yeah, look it up. When is the last?
So Candace Owens actually believes that a 22-year-old that had a substantial amount given to him for a scholarship, that had excellent grades. When I say excellent grades in school, I forgot his exact grades, but it was high. This kid doesn't know the word retrieve. Who doesn't know the word retrieve? We're not talking about Encyclopedia Britannica here. We're not talking about supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. He's not trying to spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Retrieve is a basic word. A 22-year-old college student or someone that even went to college or even went to high school, retrieve? That's not a, yeah. So are we really going to start like what person says retrieve? What can you say retrieve? That's a regular word.
Last time that you used the word retrieve between you and a friend. Retrieve. I'm going to retrieve something. I played this game with my entire staff, and I was able to find, since dating back for the last 3 years, 2 messages where someone used that term. The first person was somebody that was former military, and the second person was a cop. Makes sense. Okay, we're not done playing this game. Second term that I want you to look for in your phone.
Oh, there she goes, and she says that the people that use that word is former military or a cop. She's playing into the whole idea that the actual assassin is someone that is someone former military or law enforcement. Because to be honest, and I'm not going to, I'm going to be honest here. When I first heard about the Charlie Kirk unaliving and how someone of a single shot from the rooftop, from yards away to his neck, and whipped, to be honest, it seemed with perfection. I automatically was like, oh my gosh, this is an assassin, someone with a lot of military experience or firearm experience, law enforcement, someone that is a trained assassin. That's what you will come to believe, right? And when someone said, Tyler Robertson, 22, and that lanky, scrawny, white little, college student, that's not who I imagined the unaliver to be. But immediately I went to social media and I looked at his Facebook. I read over stuff about Tyler, and that's when I saw all those pictures of him with firearms, his family going to gun events, and how they all were into guns, and they even his younger siblings with guns. And I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. If his younger siblings that are still minors are already having firearms at these gun events, and he has all this, he's holding guns at these events. I'm like, yeah. So taking that into account, you're not talking about just any lanky 22-year-old with no experience. You're talking about someone that has been maybe since 10 years old, 9 years old, when they can actually properly fire a weapon, has been at gun events and trained in firearms and holding it. Someone whose parents actually recognize their own child, like a parent turning in their own child, they recognize him, and they didn't say, oh my gosh, no, that can't be our son because he doesn't know about firearms, so he does not have a fire weapon, or he wouldn't be able to do that assassination. They immediately knew that that was their son by looks, by body build, by clothing. They knew that was their son because guess what? Rifle, they knew it was their son because guess what? They knew that he had been trained in firearms because they are the ones that trained him from when he was a child and up. So they already knew he had the experience and the how to and the know-how. So that's why it changed for me to why it could be him, because if you have experience, about 10 years of experience with firearms, it doesn't matter if you're 22 or if you're 40. As long as you had that 10 years of firearm training, you had 10 years, and that's significant. And that's sufficient enough to be trained in firearms, to even where he had his grandfather's rifle. So he had the training and the know-how. So that changed it for me. I'm like, yeah, so that made more sense. If he didn't have any training at all, he never held a gun, never held a weapon, then I would be skeptical myself. But with Tyler and his background, family background, it makes more sense.
Is vehicle. I mean, what pops up for you? Is that something that you say? I'm just going to go outside to my vehicle. I left something in my vehicle. I'll be right back. I parked my vehicle outside. I don't remember where I parked my vehicle.
So you're saying that he's 22 and he won't use the word vehicle. Do you play video games? I don't think you play video games, because they have video games where they use certain terminology, vocabulary about vehicle, retrieve. Isn't there like Call of Duty and other games that people play? Wasn't he in Discord? Vehicle is not going to be something like, oh, most people will say car, but I mean, so is this your proof that it's not Tyler because of the vocabulary that he chooses to use? Someone that obviously has a high GPA from high school with the oh my gosh, his ACT scores were like so high. I got to look at it again, but he had high ACT scores. To have that score, he has to be smart. So we're not just talking about a regular smuggler here. We're talking about a nerd. I hate to use that word for lack of a better word. We're talking about a nerd here. We're not talking about just someone that isn't a nerd. This is a nerd with a high ACT score. If you ever took the ACT, SAT, if someone gets like perfect scores or high scores like his scores, that person is a freaking nerd. And I'm just saying, I'm just being honest. So it's not going to be unusual for him to say vehicle or retrieve. We also don't know how he interacts with his family and how they interact and how they talk or communicate.
What's popping up for you? Oh, probably literally nothing. Maybe something related to the DMV. That's what came up for me. Things about the DMV. I think for Skylar, something came up for his car wash. Your vehicle is ready. Sounds pretty professional. I don't know what to tell you guys, though, because what they're telling us is that is just the way the 22-year-olds are speaking these days. Apparently, they just shoot the breeze with one another, and they say vehicle and retrieve. And if you don't believe me, then good. You shouldn't believe that. You shouldn't believe me when I say that. So welcome back to Candace.
Okay, give me a second to do the poll. Hold on.
Vehicles, love fast vehicles. I'm a big vehicle person, said nobody ever. The text messages that were released yesterday in the indictment of Tyler Robinson make perfect sense if you don't think about them at all. Like literally, if you suspend all reason, all rationality, then they can make perfect sense. That's the only way. You just have to stop thinking. You got to get to that point where you're like, are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? No, to be fair, now we are more broadly considering how stupid the feds believe that we are. And the frankly obnoxious messages that someone strung together must clearly be for either our or their own entertainment. So I want to hyper-focus on those. I want to actually hyper-focus on what exactly is wrong with these text messages between Lance and Tyler. Now, first and foremost, the obvious thing, there's no timestamps. Right away, major red flag. Very easy to say he sent the first message at this time as a part of your investigation.
Ma'am, did you look at the text messages that were posted? And did they actually just give you a transcript of the actual messages, or did they just give you, or are you referring to the actual screenshots? There's going to be a difference between an actual screenshot of messages that will have times and actual transcripts or just law enforcement, what they're giving you. Okay, so what she's talking about is the actual charging document, and that charging document is just a transcript of the actual Candace, you know, you're smart and everything, but it's clear that the text exchange is not going to show dates because that's not a screenshot. That's not a screenshot. That's a transcription. They're transcribing what was said for just this charging document. Okay, they're not. You're thinking about exhibits. Exhibits are in a court document, and when you're in a court document, they're going to show exhibits or screenshots of the actual messages themselves. And this sort of charging document is not about showing exhibits. It's about just showing the statements that were made. So let me actually show you what she's referring to. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. But these messages right here are not screenshots. These are just, they're transcribed. They transcribe the messages. That's clear because obviously you're going to see the actual coloring or the formatting of, yeah, please don't say that, Sophia. So as you can see, this is not supposed to be the actual messages. Hold on, let me actually zoom out a little bit. This is actually a transcription where I take someone's their text messages or thread of messages, and then I just type what each person says. The roommate says this, colon, and then yeah. Robinson said this and then colon. So that's all I'm really doing. I'm not showing you the actual messages. Do y'all understand what I'm saying here? So why is she looking at the charging document and expecting to see a time when that's not their agenda or goal? Is to show a time. It's just to show what was messaged. Now, do they have the official receipts with the time and the receipts? Yes, they do. Are they going to release that to the public? Most likely not. It's evident. But the charging document, which she's talking about, referring to, they have the messages, but not. It's not a screenshot. So she needs to clarify, understand the difference between a transcription and a screenshot, and that's the whole issue.
Right? Everybody is on edge globally wanting to know what happened, and they just remove that. But don't worry, you guys, because like I told you, one of the things that me and Charlie always believed in was that we could work harder. And I got to tell you, these devils are working pretty hard, but we can work harder than them, okay? And I decided to go back and on the basis of what Tyler Robinson allegedly writes to his lover, I decided I could work them into the timeline. I could work out an approximate timeline, at least, for us to look at visually for when they had to have been sent sent on the basis of what he's saying, right? Because he says certain things that were not revealed to the public at a certain time. So we're going to do that. I also want to point out the fact that the language, which many people said online, somebody actually left a very funny comment. It's like borderline poetic. He's got commas in there. It's like perfect English. And that's actually a striking contrast compared to what's inscribed on the casings, right? He goes through all of these memes that he's written and...
Oh my gosh, is this the evidence you say you have? That you are comparing what he has on these memes. Memes are supposed to be a meme. It's not supposed to be perfect English or formatting or sentence structure. What are you really comparing memes to? An actual sentencing in messages? Those are two different things. Okay. That's like someone trying to compare a work email to someone's messages between their friends or text messages between their friends. A work email is going to be different than a message between a friend, or even a text message to someone is going to be probably different from what you would type in Discord. So the setting actually matters. The setting and also who it is to or you're writing to matters. So that's not a good comparison. And let me actually bring up what is happening with this whole alleged gag order, because that's what's in my title. So let me talk about that before I get off here as well. Hold on.
I'm not hip to the lingo. Okay, you got to be real deep internet and hip. But for whatever reason, when he's writing these messages, he's very proper, extremely proper, right? What really wants to make sure he gets the punctuation correct. Anyways, let's just dive right back into the timeline. Let's dive right back into this conversation. And we're at first going to focus on the third message. And don't forget, just to lead up into this, they are telling us that at no time that we're allowed to know on September 10th, after Charlie Kirk was shot, the roommate, that's Lance, received a text message from Robinson, which said, "Drop what you are doing, look under my keyboard." And so Lance, I don't know what he does all day, but he can do that. He knows he's home. And Lance then runs, I'm saying he ran, prances, who knows, and looks, and he sees this note. And to be clear, we're never going to be able to see that note because the feds have since told us that the note was destroyed. But even though he destroyed the note, he took a picture of it. Yeah, that makes sense, because if you're going to destroy something, the best thing to do is to take a picture of it. And the feds saw the picture, but we're not going to be able to see either. Anyways, don't think about it if you want it to make sense. Then we find out that Lance, I guess, decided to take a picture and then text Tyler back. And here is where he asks him, Lance says, "Tyler, what? You're joking, right?" Because, the note said, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it." So Lance is like, "What? You're joking." And Robinson says to him, Tyler says, "I'm still okay, my love, but I am stuck in Orem," that's the town, okay, that UVU is at, "for a little while longer yet." So poetic. A little while longer yet. I'm gonna look that up on my phone later. "It shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you." Now, I want to jump to this next message because it gives us a timeline. He says to him, I assume right away, Lance says, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" And Robinson says, "I am. I'm sorry." And the roommate says, "I thought they caught the person." Okay. And Robinson responds, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Okay, so that lets us actually be able to drop that into the timeline pretty simply. Why? Because we know, and we can pull up this timeline, that they at first thought it was George Zinn, so that's who he's referencing, some crazy old dude. And on the timeline, Skylar, if you want to pull at 12:23 p.m., scroll down a bit. George Zinn, we learn about 30 minutes after that, George Zinn, the decoy boy, that's when it's announced that he's a suspect in custody by the Utah police. But it's not until, by the way, 5:30 p.m., because he mentions that second suspect, And he curiously says in that correspondence that he's wearing similar clothing, which I find to be strange. We don't know what that second suspect is wearing until 5:30 p.m. When Governor Cox, 12 minutes into a press conference, the press conference began at 5:30 p.m., mentions that the second suspect, who is a person of interest, is wearing all dark clothing. So the earliest that message could have been sent out is after 5:30 p.m. I think it's unlikely because I think, again, this is all made up.
And so the whole thing about retrieve and vehicle, and those are unusual words. No, it's not. People say vehicle all the time. That's not unusual. Some people say car, some people say vehicle. Retrieve is not unusual. It's not something like that's civilian language. It's not all like federal jargon, like a Fed is going to be only using that language. Okay, and when she pulled up the messages, like I said, those are a transcription and not actual text messages.
Because he says wearing similar clothing. Okay, he tells us dark clothing. What's similar about that? This guy allegedly, when he did this, was wearing black jeans. I was wearing, dark jeans and a black shirt. So that's like everyone on campus, okay? Nobody in the press conference says, oh, we picked him up because he was wearing something similar to the shooter. So that language right there is actually a mistake from the feds. But again, it allows us to be able to plot it into the timeline. So that's good. Okay. Timeline is back up here. And we then know Kash Patel tweets that the subject in custody has been released. Our investigation continues. That was a mistake. The guy in the darker clothing, we don't know who that is. And then it's after, again, like I said, that these correspondences then had to take place. So we're talking about late in the evening, okay, 6 hours on. I'm wondering what it is that Tyler Robinson is doing throughout this entire time. Skylar, you can keep this up because I want to keep scrolling, okay? What he's doing throughout this entire time, because that's a very long time for him to be just around campus. But then luckily, he's going to let us know what he's doing, right? He's going to jump right in here and he's telling us that he's close to the scene. We know in this conversation that he then says to Lance that he's looking to get that rifle, right? He says, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring it back. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's actually go earlier. He then tells us his alibi, which is amazing, right? He's saying, I'm lingering around there. I'm trying to get the vehicle. And then, of course, as you always do when you're trying to clean up things, you then spell out your alibi, right? Lance asks him, why did you do this? And Robinson says, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate cannot be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, like I'm trying to clean up the scene, but also I'm telling you exactly what my motive is here, I will have left no evidence. I'm going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Okay, so we are now late in the evening. He's still hanging around. The roommate then comes and says, how long have you been planning this? He says, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, still trying to get close to that rifle. So I'm wondering if maybe the feds might drop us some footage, right? We should be able to see some footage. He's got to be idling in his car. You've been speaking about how he has this car. I'm assuming he's not just sitting in the woods or sitting on a sidewalk. This is a quote unquote manhunt. So where is he casually sitting, lingering, loitering? I don't know, but that would be some pretty good footage that they could release if they don't want us all to become a conspiracy theorist, okay? He then says, yeah, I've been planning this for a bit over a week. I can get really close to it, but there's a squad car that's parked right by it. That's the drop-off spot. I think they already swept the spot, but I don't want to chance it. And then he tells Lance that I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. Yeah, that's a vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I went to exactly where I got this rifle from, okay? I don't know. I don't even know if if it had a serial number. Weird, because he's been planning this for a week. He might have checked.
Well, I would say that retrieve and vehicle are something that I would say about people that play video games and the vernacular they use in those video games. Call of Duty and other games, right? So I wouldn't be surprised that he would use that. And also, he's someone that had high ACT scores, high GPA, and someone that's honors. So if he didn't have all of that, then I would probably say so. But he's not. You know, he's someone that was highly intelligent and smart enough to get those scores. And I can't remember, to be honest, because it's been a minute since I took a break from this. But he was offered a scholarship. To be honest, it was a lot of money that he was offered for a scholarship. And then, so he's someone that's highly intelligent. So for someone like him, with those scores that he received, his mom put the Facebook on private. I would have to go back to my old videos, my screenshots. But yeah, high, ACT scores or SAT scores, high GPA from middle school and high school. Got like pretty much a high school. I don't know if it's full ride, but he had a good amount for scholarships. So he was pretty much set. So this is someone that's smart. And this is also someone that's trained in actual firearms, because he has been using firearms for a long time, and he goes to gun shows. So Tyler Robinson is not a typical 22-year-old just playing, video. He's actually smart and knows about firearms, and that's why his parents even knew or know his capabilities, and they were not even doubting. Like, a parent knows their child, they were not even doubting for 1 second that wasn't their son. They knew that he's capable of all the things that were being told about, that they saw, they knew he was capable. That's how he looks, and he's also capable of doing Charlie Kirk, and also the things he was saying about Charlie Kirk before the actual unaliving. But yeah, I made a bunch of videos. I'm gonna check that out on Tyler, and I went over before his mom private the Facebook, him celebrating his actual graduation and scholarship award. Okay.
Now all of a sudden he's getting into details and is wondering if it had a serial number. That seems a little strange to me, but it wouldn't trace to me, of course, because you just told us in writing that it's your grandpa's. Definitely trying to cover your tracks. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Focus on the changing outfits. That's a really important piece of this, and that is why I am now a confirmed conspiracy theorist on this. Okay, I left it in the bush where I changed outfits. Okay, I didn't have the ability or the time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope that they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. That's the only thing. Otherwise, it was a perfect job. It was top of the line, professional job. The only thing I left behind was the weapon with my prints on it. Oh my gosh, right? Like that's kind of amazing. Okay. Then he, of course, explains, remember how I was engraving the bullets? The effing messages are mostly a big meme. I know I speak proper here, but it's just a meme that I was writing. I wrote, notice his bulge. On Fox News, I might have a stroke if they say that, right? If I see notice his bulge on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm gonna have to leave it. Oh, that really effing sucks. It's almost perfect. Okay, so he then ends this message. This is all from the day. This is all we have from September 10th, okay? Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun. I want to make it very clear. This is Grandpa's gun, okay? Nobody should question this narrative because he has put it all here. I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope. Okay, so that ends that exchange. Now, I have a couple of notes here that I put here at the end of day one as we worked in this correspondence, which all had to happen, let's call it 7 p.m. earliest, as I say here. Which I want to be clear, the campus is 3 to 4 hours away from where Tyler and Lance live together. We have a map here to show you that. So he's just
hold on 1 second.
For 8 semesters.
Okay.
Congratulations, you have been selected to receive the Resident Presidential Scholarship from Utah State University. The value of this scholarship is approximately $32,000. This scholarship is available for 4 years or 8 semesters.
$30,000 available 4 years or 8 semesters. Okay, so he had a good scholarship from Utah State University. So, and that's not UBU, the Valley. That's the Utah State University. People were having those confused. He had high. I would say check out my other videos, and I go over his actual scores or his test scores, his scholarship right here, the guns, and other things I've noticed about Tyler. And once you like really get to understanding, I mean, everyone's gonna have their own opinion. He's actually and then also how he's in his conservative family. Most people are Trump supporters. How he is living with his boyfriend that's transitioning, and how obviously that would make him gay. And he's in a Mormon family. A lot of stuff is going on with this individual as far as feeling like hated because he's homosexual. He's in a relationship with a transgender person. And that can lead to him having some sort of feelings about possibly Charlie Kirk, who people are labeling as homophobic, transphobic, and even racist, right? So, I mean, there's a lot to look at. So this is someone that was also talking negatively about Charlie Kirk before Charlie Kirk was unalived, that he's full of hate. So with all things being told, I wouldn't be surprised if this is someone that would use vehicle or the word retrieve. I mean, for me, it's not unusual for someone to use those words. It's not. Yeah, and then like especially college age and plays video games like Call of Duty, where they have games and things like retrieve your weapon or whatever the terminology vernacular they use in those video games.
Loitering until, like I said, earliest, he's signifying around like 7 p.m. that he's still very close to campus. That's a long day. That's a real long day, just waiting to see when you can go in there. And there's a manhunt, and he's chill. He's chill because he's changed his outfit. How do we know he changed his outfit? Because he made it very clear that he dropped the clothes, his shooting clothes, right there. He got changed. He didn't have time to take the rifle that was in the that he put in the towel, but he did have time to change. That totally makes sense. And then for whatever reason, he had to leave the rifle with the prints on it. Okay. What's interesting about that, though, is like, we should recognize that curiously what they've removed from this indictment, again, relevant to the clothes, was the fact that, and the governor's going to say it, that we are told that he at first enters campus on this day at 8:07 a.m. TMZ shows us the footage, remember, of the man wearing a maroon t-shirt and shorts. That's how this day begins. That is walking through a neighborhood just outside of university grounds. The Governor Cox has confirmed this is him. Not mentioned in the indictment. That's curious. Seems very relevant. Surely, you guys should be mentioning that. The outfit. What did he do, by the way? From 8:07 a.m. when he walked onto campus to when he is then seen walking back onto campus at 11:51, that's about 4 hours. Something else the feds could release to dispel any conspiracy theories would be him walking back to his car. You're telling us he then goes back to campus and he's in a different outfit. Can we get him leaving campus? We know the place is covered with cameras. That would make me feel better.
And then also taking into account this right here, let's take this down. These are his actual ACT scores that were posted to his social media. Tyler J. Robinson at the very top. That's his actual scores. He has a 34 composite ACT score. This is actually pretty good. That pretty much places him in a high percentile, like at least 99 percentile for his scores. English, Math right here. Reading 36. English is a 34. They have the STEM right there. That's a 33. These are high scores. All of these are placing him at least a 96 percentile up to 100%. Okay. So look at that reading 136. Yeah. This is really high scores. This is like, he definitely could just pretty much go to almost any school with these scores, depending on, and then his GPA was also high. So would I expect that from someone with the English scores at 34? Writing, well, that says that. Would I expect that with someone at English at 34, reading at 36? Yes. I would expect high vocabulary, high vernacular, someone that will use the words that she's describing. Someone that they have extensive vocabulary, or at least, understanding of certain things. 96 percentile all the way up to 100%. Look at that reading 36. Key ideas and details, crafted structure, integration of knowledge and ideas, understanding complex text. He scored high. So with that understanding, I wanted to show you this. It puts things in perspective. Even for him being like a trained assassin, if you actually look at him at these gun shows, they're teaching him how to his posture. They're teaching him how to hold a weapon, and he's actually on the ground using some of these weapons. So someone like him and his siblings going to these gun shows, they're around people in the military, law enforcement at these events. They are teaching them how to do certain things. They're going to the firing range. They're out in nature, are out there. So someone like him growing up in a household that's a gun household, even his grandfather, he had his grandfather's gun, a gun-toting family down in the country down there in Utah, right? So they out there, they learn how to use those guns and those weapons. So once you have a full understanding of how Tyler Robinson is, you'll kind of understand that he's someone fully capable of carrying this out. Okay. And like I said, the biggest thing is that his family recognized him. His mother recognized him, went to the father, like, yeah, that's our son. That's our son. And for some parents, they were like, oh, well, that looks like my kid, but he can't shoot worth a darn. He don't know how to hold a weapon or got no gun or no rifle to carry this out. He can't do this. He's not capable of being no assassin from that many yards away shooting someone. But they knew their son. They were like, that looks like our son. That is our son. And he doesn't like Charlie Kirk, and he's fully capable of firing a weapon. He has a gun. He has a rifle. Oh my gosh. Send him a picture of the rifle, and he refused to send a picture, send it to his father. Okay, so let's go back to this real quick.
If you showed us him leaving campus and then we see him coming back in a different outfit, again, not clear why he couldn't just wear the outfit he was going to wear, since I would imagine you've got thousands and thousands of students that are wearing something as casual as a black t-shirt and blue jeans. I understand a need for a change if you're in a sniper outfit, or if you're wearing a Barney costume. If you showed up and you're wearing a full Halloween costume, then yeah, maybe you should change. But this is just an average college kid outfit. This is just what you expect to see on campus, just what boys wear. Anyways, like I said, those would be my points from day one. The feds can release that. And also, I'm wondering, where did Tyler spend the night? Can they clarify that? Where he certainly couldn't have made it out of Iran and back there and back to his home. I'm coming home soon. Would have been the wee hours of the morning. This would have been a good time, by the way, if you're really trying to get away with this, to tell your lover to delete the text messages. But he doesn't do that. He's not going to tell him to delete the text messages on this night. Presumably he saw him. They didn't say he went home to his parents' house. So what happened overnight? When did he get home? He's been so thorough in describing that cleanup job.
And one thing about it, Candace, is that when you're talking about your timeline, when you talk about timelines and you're making these investigation videos, make sure that your timeline is synced with the timeline in the area. Okay. You're a little bit, when you're like reconstructing this timeline, you're using Eastern timeline, like Eastern time headlines from Twitter, and not, Mountain Time forensic logs or anything like that. So you have to make sure that what you're looking at as far as your time and where you're at is actually in sync or logged into the time zone for the area you're talking about, because that can be a problem if you're looking at, let's say someone's looking at something in the United States and look what happened at this time, and then they're comparing it to some crime news and like, oh wait, look what this time says, and it was in Hawaii, and then if they're not cognizant and aware of what they're saying, wait, this is two different time zones. We have to adjust now. We can't just talk about a time. We now have to make adjustments for the two different time zones. So are you comparing time zone for time zone and making those adjustments? So if you're seeing you're in Central Time and you're seeing 9 p.m., you have to think about in California, they're at 6 p.m. So there's gonna be a time discrepancy here. So now when I'm making my comparisons, I need to make sure when I'm making these notes, I have to say, well, I'm in this time zone and that person is in this time zone, or that happened in this time zone. So now let's make adjustments. And that goes for whatever website you're on, or what you're screenshotting or messaging or you're looking at.
And by the way, we know that Discord is going to later say that those messages were not coordinated on their server, which I would say was definitely a part of the broader plan. Okay, let's get into September 11th, because a lot happened.
The thing about it is Discord be making up stuff. Even like, who wants to admit that something is in their server or not in their server? Like, Discord does not want any problems or any lawsuits or any issues about anything. It's not the first time I heard something about Discord. I think even with I really don't want to say, but yeah.
It's here, and you are going to really see what I see here, and we need to demand answers. Okay. So
now what I want to say is those messages that were on there, I just showed you that, I haven't showed you yet. I can show you the documents, but those were retrieved from his phone. So we have to take in consideration that some things were actually spread by law enforcement and police, and some things were spread by people on social media. So we have to keep it separate. What was said by law enforcement and police, and then also what was said about from the public, and also what messages are we talking about? Because there were messages people were talking about in Discord, but those were about conversations about, like, people in the Discord having conversations about, oh, that looks like you, and that kind of stuff. But the actual text messages between him and his roommate lover, those were actual like text messages. So were there stuff on Discord? Yes, but what was on Discord where there was conversations or Discord messages between groups of people, a group of people on there. That wasn't the messages that we're talking about now in that thread that you were just posting up. So we have to kind of keep that separate.
On September 11th, we are presented with the first FBI press conference where they confirm that they have found a weapon in the woods. Let's take a listen to a bit of that.
This morning I can tell you that we have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle.
Let me pause right here. On the document, it says right here, as for Discord. So let me actually go to this document so I can show y'all. Hold on. Okay, for Discord, it says, investigators identify an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed the roommate who stated his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen. As each message was shown by Robinson's roommate, these photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate device. And that was about engraving bullets and things like that. So on here is actually seeing some messages were on Discord. Okay, so I'm looking at it. It says made a joke on Discord. Okay, now let me see what it said about the phone. Hold on.
That rifle was recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. The FBI laboratory will be analyzing this weapon.
Now, I wouldn't say the shooter had fled, just based off of he was just kind of lurking around, ringing to go get his weapon back, okay? Like, for a long time, but whatever. Let's go with that. Then what we have after that 7 a.m. press conference is that...
So, yeah, the press conference. So she said, right here it says he wore... When he fired the rifle, count 4, and he told his lover roommate to delete incriminating text messages. And right here it says the roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to police. And it says on, hold on. On September 10, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which says, "Drop what you are doing. Look under my keyboard." So it looks like things were sent in Discord and on the phone, right? So there's messages, Discord messages and the phone messages. So I think some people are thinking it's just one or the other, but it's actually Discord and it's actually saying phone. So there are some from Discord and some from the phone. And like I said, this is 141 pages. Yeah. And right here it says he got a charge. Count 5 was tampering with the witness. And it says withhold testimony, information, a document, or an item, to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. So again, there's text messages and Discord messages. So when Discord said there's no messages, what messages are they talking about? Because there's 2 different sets of messages, one from Discord and one from text thread. But there are messages from Discord as well, not just from text messages. So Discord is not being truthful about all messages. But again, they could be just saying one set of messages that they were presented, but ultimately, obviously, there are messages from Discord and from his text iPhone.
Exclusively, our resident guys over at the New York Post, every exclusive ever. Jeffrey Epstein's death pictures. Ghislaine Maxwell found at an In-N-Out. It's always the New York Post, okay? I view them as a feds. If I'm the feds and I'm trying to make this seem like this is organic, I wouldn't give it to the New York Post because we're in Utah. And so cops are probably not leaking to a New York-based publication. But whatever, they have the exclusive. They're the ones that reveal the photo. They always have the exclusive, okay? And they show us the gun in the shooting. Their article publishes at, and by the way, my timeline is all based in Mountain Time. So that says 11:21 a.m. Eastern. They publish at 9:21 a.m. 2 hours after that first press conference and say exclusive. They are the ones that drop the trans narrative. They say these things are found on the bullets. Okay. And then just 7 minutes later, the FBI, Salt Lake City, drops status.
Okay, your time is that time, but what time is I will have to look at what post you're looking at. Okay, because I remember one thing is like you were looking at a something, and it wasn't the right time zone for you. Okay, because I think she's in Tennessee, right? So you're in Tennessee. That's actually Eastern Daylight Time for Tennessee. Oh. Okay, Memphis and Nashville, along with the communities in why is it saying two different things? It says Central Time. Nashville, Tennessee is Central Daylight Time. So your time and what is and then you have to go by your time zone where you're at compared to where the incident happened. And then Utah's in Mountain Time. So it looks like I don't know. It's going to be like there's a time difference of at least an hour. So you have to actually take that in consideration when you're seeing certain things posted about other people and they're saying it happened at this time. And then you are in a different area. You have to pay attention to you have to make sure whatever. The point is, y'all get what I'm saying. You have to make sure that when someone says a certain time, that your time zone matches with their time zone, as far as your when you're making a timeline
Images
when
of
things
the
happen,
alleged
are
shooter
based on what times you see.
walking up the stairs. Okay, so now we can see on our timeline that's around 10 a.m. in the morning, Salt Lake City time, Mountain Time. So we can then assume that everything else that's about to happen that I'm going to tell you had to have happened, okay, between approximately 10:30 and 7 o'clock p.m. Okay, I have a source, and everything the source has told me that has happened and when we were lied to publicly has proven to be correct. So I am very inclined to believe this source on a couple of other things. And when I speak also to Lance's family, they are confirming what this source is telling me. So we're going to go through this 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., all of the things that then took place. So they released the photo. And then we are told, as my source initially told me, that it was the mother who recognized Tyler and she phones him up. Tyler says, "Mom, I'm sick." She doesn't believe it. She loops in Dad, okay? Dad then texts and he calls Tyler. And at this point, we can jump back into day 2 of our messages because Robertson says, he says to Lance, "Delete this exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says, Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle and it is very unique. He's calling me right now. I'm not answering." Okay, so apparently he did answer. According to the indictment, the dad says he didn't answer his text messages, but then the father called him and Tyler Robertson answered, and he tells us that Tyler was suicidal and that is when they just told him, like, calm down, let's speak to you. They bring over their neighbor sheriff friend and they agree that he should go in. Now, if he was in fact suicidal, you don't get that vibe from these messages to his lover, right? There's nothing in here that he's like, I can't believe what I've done. Now he slept. We don't know where. He seems to be perhaps on very little sleep. I would imagine he was. He just murdered someone. And he's not indicating in these messages that he's going through any sort of suicidal feelings. Instead, he sends this very odd thing about his dad, who he says he's not answering. He writes, "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty die-hard MAGA. There's something here for everyone if you want to take the low-hanging fruit and think of this as left versus right, right? So if you're like, on the right, you're like, I need to blame the left, then it's like, whoa, the trans thing is here. But if you're on the left and you need to blame the right, well, dad was a die-hard MAGA. It's so fed.
Here's the thing. When you're looking at something that let's say people and the police or people in a certain area are posting something on Twitter, and you look at it and you look at the post, the time is going to be adjusted to your time zone. So when you're looking at it, it's actually going to be your time zone that's showing what time it is. It's not that they posted it, so now it's their time zone. No, everything you're looking at is going to be your time zone. So if you say, well, look at Twitter, they posted it at 8 p.m. You have to say, well, if that was 8 p.m. my time when they posted it, because it's for my visuals of my time and for my perspective. So that's 8 p.m. my time. But you then have to say, okay, where are they located? And then from there, you will have to say, okay, well, if it was 8 p.m. my time that I'm showing on their post, if they're an hour behind me, so then I will say they posted at 7 p.m. You see what I'm saying? And if they're 3 hours behind me, I will say, well, they posted at 5 p.m. And if they're 12 hours, so you have to make adjustments for what the time you're seeing on Twitter. That's what I'm thinking, right? That's the time for your area where you're at. It's not the time it was actually posted in their area unless you're in the same area. So if she's in Tennessee, what she says she's in Tennessee, and she's looking at somebody posting something on Twitter and they're in Utah, that's an hour difference, I'm thinking, right? So then she has to adjust her timeline to say, okay, well, they didn't post it at 8 p.m. They posted it at 7 p.m. They're all behind me. If you don't do that, that's a grave error and a grave mistake, and it's constructing your timeline because you're going to put things off. At least you're going to delay things. It's not going to be right. So you have to make 100% sure of the person posted it in their exact time zone so you can make adjustments to your own time.
It's just so federally written. It's amazing. So chaos right here. Anyways, I guess maybe if you're suicidal, that's what you sent. Dad's been pretty diehard MAGA. And then we don't know, again, when these messages took place, but it all had to happen in these 7 or 8 hours. He says, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors is here.
Yeah, I'm sure that he knows his family, but it's just conversational, in my opinion. It's people have chit chat and banter. And in that moment, he's realizing that, his father is diehard MAGA and a supporter of Charlie Kirk. So him unaliving him, it's going to piss his father the fuck off. His father is not going to like that, right? So he's obviously going to be thinking in that moment and making small talk, or I wouldn't say small talk, but he's going to make conversation on it. So that's not going to be unusual for me, for people to make conversation, even on topics. People talk about their parents, their siblings, life, school, on topics that people know, they both know about, and they both confirm or they know is true, but they still will have conversations about something relatable and say things that they both know, but just is conversational.
He is deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. He seems impassioned here. He doesn't seem suicidal. And then Lance comes back and says, I'm much more worried about you. And Robinson,
but you say he's not feeling suicidal, or he doesn't seem that way. But wait a minute. At this moment, he's not thinking that he's called or he's cornered or his life is completely over or ruined. He's still trying to escape and get away with this whole situation. People that, a lot of times they think about unaliving themselves is when they feel trapped and there's no way out. There's hopelessness. Things are over. I'm done. I'm through. There's a loss of hope. he wasn't at the point of hopelessness. Once he was actually caught and exposed, and his parents realized it was him, and he was faced with turning himself in. Now at that point, there is hopelessness, and my life is over. I'm ruined. I'm going to be in prison, and then there's doom. So that's when unaliving or suicidal ideation takes place. A lot of things Candace says is kind of like out of order. If someone feels like they escaped and got away, they're going to feel like they got away and there's no doom. The moment they feel that doom and hopelessness is when you would expect that. So a lot of times I feel like Candace knows this, but then she's playing these games as if she doesn't understand that at that moment he's thinking about still his escape and he's not thinking about doom. Yeah.
And says, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments because the feds want to let you know why it is that we're not talking about Lance, right? They got to tell you, because Tyler told him, duh. They're going, wow, if Lance is really not guilty and he hasn't done anything, this would be a good time to speak, right? No, Lance is not doing that because Tyler right here says, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. And if any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. So that then seen walking. There's something here for every 30 and 7 o'clock p.m. Okay. I have a source and everything the source has told me that has happened at 7 o'clock p.m. when everybody locally began receiving the text messages that Tyler Robertson was in custody and that they were going to pick him up in Warner Valley. Now, Warner Valley is right next to St. George. So he lives very close to his parents is what I want you to recognize. You've got St. George, you've got Warner Valley. So they said like that's where they went to go pick him up. That could very much be his parents' place. But what's really interesting about that, okay, if you consider that they are telling us at 7 p.m., that this is when all the messages started circulating, then we don't know why the feds say that it was the 33rd hour after the shooting, like a total Freemason number. 33rd hour after the shooting. It took us 33 hours. That would be inaccurate, okay? 33 hours would be at 9:23 p.m. Our person is telling us, and I tend to believe them, that everyone knew at 7 o'clock p.m., okay? And what they tell us.
Okay, there you go with the invisible person that's seeing this or seeing that. Who is the actual person? I hate when people do this whole, I have an invisible source and a reference. What I do know is you're on like looking at Twitter stuff sometimes and you're talking about a time and you're looking at the time, said, look what time it was, look what time it was. I'm like, girl, you're in a different time zone than what was actually being posted. So that was putting your timeline off. Okay, so first you have to correct your time zone. That on Twitter, when you see these posts from the Utah people, if you're not in Utah, you're not in the same mountain time, then your time is going to show your time, not their time.
Place thereafter, and this is what I confirmed with Lance's family, because I said, wait a second, you owned the house. When did they pick up Lance? When did Lance go in? When did the home that you own get raided by the feds? Did the home that you own get raided by the feds? And what that family is telling me and what my source is telling me, it's matching, okay? So I'm feeling good about this. We'll say allegedly, but I'm feeling good about this, okay? So Tyler is allegedly in custody and they are told, don't say, don't speak, don't do anything. The feds, you have to wait for the feds to get there to question Tyler. And that didn't happen until the wee hours of the morning. How do we know? Because we're going to hear that from Governor Cox the following morning. Anyways, but apparently what happens is then they bring Lance in at 11 p.m.-ish. We'll tell you around 11 p.m., Lance Twiggs is brought in for questioning, okay? And shortly thereafter, that apartment is raided. And I say overnight into the wee hours of the morning is when they first raid Tyler and Lance's apartment. Now, why am I really stressing this out to you? Or I'm stressing this point to you here. Because this would signal to you that it would be absolute BS if the feds are going to tell us bright and early the next morning that the case is closed. They would know nothing. According to Lance's family, this is when they seized his electronics. They say that he's deep on the internet web, that there's definitely going to be something there. And yet they told us that, quite oddly, Lance gets released right back to his parents. Right, not right back. Lance just gets released to his parents while they're raiding his apartment. Why would they release Lance? Wouldn't you think that you would be detained like for at least 24 hours, right? If we're putting this at around 11 p.m.-ish, that they have brought him in and they are questioning him and they are now moving to raid his apartment in the wee hours of the morning, why would they very quickly release him? And beyond that, I'm going to let you know, let's jump into Friday on the timeline. Like I said, early hours, Tyler and Lance have their apartment raided and the devices seized. For whatever reason, the FBI quickly releases Lance.
And there you have it. You said their device is seized. What do you actually think they're going to do with those seized devices? Obviously, with the seized device, they're going to do forensics on it and obviously get the text messages, right? You're right. So what do you mean? Like, they're going to get the text messages from the phone, which they did.
And I'm told that he's dropped off at his parents' home, allegedly. And then it's at 6 a.m. that President Trump announces with a high degree of certainty that they have the suspect, okay? So are they still raiding his place? I don't know, but take a listen to Trump on Fox and Friends.
Any updates on the suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Okay? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job.
Okay, and here is what the governor is then 2 hours later is when his press conference began. I'm going to do the short clip. Okay, let's play actually a little bit of the longer clip, Skylar. I'll tell you when to come out of it. It's a 6-minute long clip, and you should go back and watch it in its entirety. He's going to make it seem like, Lance doesn't even exist, but let's start it off and listen to a minute of this, and then I'll give this synopsis.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robertson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robertson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robertson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robertson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images.
Okay, stop. That's actually a perfect place to stop right there. My source says he's lying. I don't like Governor Cox. Vibes. Okay, vibes. I don't know, can't explain it. I'm getting tons of people that are messaging me telling me he's corrupt, that he forced himself onto the ballot, that he wasn't even supposed to be the governor. Allegedly. I just don't like him. Every time we find an inconsistency, I actually find him to be the mouthpiece of it, okay? So he is representing, and my source says falsely, that they picked up Tyler Robertson, and by the way, it makes perfect sense that my source is saying that that's not accurate, in the same outfit that we just showed you, okay, of the maroon thing that happens at 8 o'clock. We don't know what he was doing for 4 hours on campus, but he's telling us that for 33 hours, he decided that he was going to keep the outfit on. Now, remember, I told you that Tyler Robertson's classmate reached out and they insisted that this was an incredibly odd thing because he was very tidy. He was very clean. And they said that's the first thing that they went, that just sounds weird. He was a very tidy dude. Now I'm telling you that my source is saying he wasn't wearing that outfit when he got picked up. He wasn't wearing that outfit when he was brought to the office. If I have this wrong, this would be a very easy thing, okay? Surely They're going to have photos. They've got something for them to release. It's like, yeah, no, we totally got him. I want to be clear. If you are in the police station and you want to reach out and let me know more, tips@CandaceOwens.com, because I'm struck by this. This is what we should be hyper-focusing on. He kind of wraps it up and says he was wearing the same outfit. And that always sounded dumb to us. Why would you not take a shower in 33 hours, okay? That doesn't make any sense to anybody whatsoever. And people are saying that fact is untrue, okay? Now, if that is untrue, let's first show you how he wraps this up. We might show you a portion of what he just said again because we wanted to compress his 6-minute clip, but like listen to how he wraps up this conference too because it's relevant.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah. But I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history.
Closure. He says closure. We got him. They already start in that he starts talking about the messages. He starts filling in the blanks. He said he had it. He put it in a towel. We have messages. It's all over. We found it on Discord. Discord is going to say that's not true. So who made up these messages? When were these messages made up is the question. If Discord's saying they don't exist, this signals to me that these messages were just created, right? And I'm further feeling that way because there's no timestamps. Again, I want to be proven wrong, okay? But I don't like this at all. And we got him, it's over, and we can turn the page with finality. Would you, if you were an honest governor and you knew that only, again, 4 hours earlier?
I don't believe that there is a secret source of information. And the more she talks, she's sounding like Shelley Carter's adopted mother, Shelley Carter. And the reason I'm saying this is because people that make up lies, they always have an invisible source. Oh, I have a source of information. Someone's telling me this and someone's telling me that. I have a source. I can't tell you who it is because I can't out the person. Even Jad uses this. Oh, I rescued 3 victims from Epstein Island, but I can't tell you their names. I can't tell you who they are. They can't come forward yet. There's always invisible people, like Misha Fuller. There's a pattern that when people lie, they always have these invisible sources or people telling them things. And they can't tell who it is or all the person because the person will be arrested or get in trouble or and things like that. So they're always making up these invisible people. I don't trust that. Now, are there times where you have to keep people anonymous? Yes. But a lot of times when you're doing that, you're keeping a person anonymous. You can't out the person, but you're telling the truth and the facts. And there's still something to back what you're saying and to back or confirm. There's still some sort of receipt backing it. It's not just 100%. And usually a lot of times it turns out to be true in the end. A lot of times with these liars, none of that stuff turns out to be true. It doesn't. A lot of stuff don't turn out to be true. So when this is all said and done, a lot of things that Candace is saying is not going to, it's not going to be truthful. It's going to be found not to be a lie.
How long does it take to raid a home? I don't know. Is it quick? Is it like a 10-minute thing? It feels like it'd be a long thing to grab the devices. If you knew that you had not even begun going through those devices, how would you say that we can close this chapter? Why would you say that we can close this chapter? I would have said, honestly, and he does not, we raided his home and we are looking for more information. We think that there's going to be a lot more information, but we wanted to let you know that we at least have one person that we feel is definitely involved. That's not what he says. He says it's over. It's done. Wrap it up. We're not going to even tell you about the fact that we just raided this place a couple of hours ago. And the person whose place we raided, who is the one that the family says is super internet, we just kind of released, but we're not interested in that. What are we to discern from all of this? I'll tell you my take on this. I think the person in the maroon that's walking is different from the person that's walking up the stairs. It's a gut thing, okay? I don't know, but I know. Okay? I don't know, but I know. It makes sense in the timeline of George Zinn, the decoy boy, that we've got other people that are doing different.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a break from Candace in her, this right here is 141 pages. And these are actual, what the law enforcement has submitted and what has been happening back and forth in the actual courtroom. So we're going to actually go over these documents, and then from now on, we will keep up with these real information and real facts, tangible evidence from the courts and police first. And then after that, listen to conspiracy people or conspiracy talk, and then, debunk the conspiracy people. Because if you don't, then the conspiracy talk gets mixed up with the real, okay? So I have not reviewed all of these documents myself. So before I listen to any more Candace or any conspiracy talk, I need to actually get caught up on all the new information, okay? So I'm going to do that tonight, okay? So it won't take that long, because am I going to read every single page? No, I'm going to skim through, but pretty much get the basic information of what's being reported, okay? And by the way, some stuff I have already read. Like if you're talking about the charging document, in the indictment, I've already went over that. So for some pages, I'm going to skip because we went over it. So if you have not read those, then I suggest you go back to my first videos on this topic. Okay, hold on.
And it is, they do not want us to prod the narrative about the person in maroon. Doesn't make sense. They can't tell us. He said he planned this for weeks. So I'm going to assume if he planned it for weeks, and he didn't go to campus earlier because he wanted to scope things out, he would have done that. He would have obviously been able to do that already because he's been planning this for a week. He knew where Charlie was speaking, right? Make it make sense. It's very easy to debunk me. Very easy. You should have footage of him in that Dodge Challenger just waiting and salivating. He kept checking. He said, oh, here I am right here, just waiting to get that rifle back. I'm waiting to get that rifle back. Where's the footage? You were on a manhunt. Where is the footage? Surely during a manhunt, you used drones. I feel like we are tech capable enough that during a manhunt, after a murderer of a college student decides to take out Charlie Kirk, who has been a friend of the feds, right? I think probably not a good idea to be friends with these people, but whatever, he's been a friend of the feds. Surely this is a big issue. And to put to rest any conspiracies, you're gonna show us that drone footage and we're gonna see the Dodge Challenger just sitting there for hours and hours and hours. And we're maybe even gonna be able to see, because I'm sure at that point, like cops maybe set up some barricades or something to see he was going in and out. And then he decides he's going to leave. Show us the footage. Like I said, every inch of that campus is covered, so we should be able to see he's wearing maroon, and you're telling us that he went back to his car and he changed. Show us him leaving campus before he returns back to campus around 11:30. Just show us the footage, okay? I'm demanding it. You know why? Because I need to be able to fit things into my timeline, if that's okay with you.
Candace, let me tell you a little secret here. You are a civilian. You are a lay person. You are just out here. You're not in law enforcement. Anyone that believes that law enforcement is going to allow anyone to interfere with their investigation, in any open investigation, no one's going to give you all of their evidence and receipts. That can interfere and mess up their investigation. When a case is closed, that's when they give a lot of information. If they need the public's assistance in capturing someone, apprehending someone, they might give information. But to actually just give you all their receipts and all the information, that's not smart. So no, you're not in the you're not in a position to ask. Exactly. Like, you're not in that position to ask anyone for any evidence. Okay?
So I would discern that we are looking, just vibe again, 2 different people would be my thing. 2 different people. One of those people is definitely, individuals is definitely being protected. And separately, we can definitely make out that for whatever reason, Lance is being protected. There's no way you release that guy, okay? There's no way you release that guy immediately. There's no way that you intentionally purge him out of these messages, okay? The excuse, he's being cooperative, doesn't work. You can be cooperative while you're still being detained. At least 24 hours before you would say, I felt good to clear him as a suspect, especially when you haven't even raided his home yet. They released him instantly and they said, job done. So I would like more information about Lance Twiggs, okay? I already don't like that mom received a Bachelor of Science from Stanford University in psychology. It seems to be a running theme in these Fed ops that there's always psychology somewhere in the family. And I want to be very clear, I'm not saying his mom has anything to do with anything, but I am saying that I feel this kid, for some reason, some unknown reason, is being protected. And I'm not the only one. His family feels that way. Okay? His family thinks it's odd. Like I said yesterday, I spoke to them today. I spoke to them yesterday. They think it's odd that the feds moved on from him so quickly and that the feds were being dishonest, and they felt about everything when they first came out with information. So why are we all feeling that way? We absolutely need to get to the bottom of it. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to show you some stuff. I mean, Tucker completely destroyed the Bibi Netanyahu narrative, Megyn Kelly, Dave Smith. I mean, everybody yesterday. The truth is coming out inevitably about Charlie's mindset. The only reason we're discussing it, obviously, is because of Bibi Netanyahu coming out and lying. But some important things that he said. First and foremost, before we do that, I want to remind you guys about Riverbend Ranch, because I absolutely love them as a company. And I know that there were so many people, so many companies that wanted to make sure that they did something to try and heal and also to try to remember Charlie. And Riverbend Ranch did the exact same thing. They put together the following tribute to honor him.
We pay tribute to Charlie Kirk, and we celebrate the...
So let me pause right here and let's go over some documents. So we can, I'm also probably going to separate this from the other part. And to start, we have to have a foundation, and that foundation has to be based on evidence. So that way, once you hear something that goes against the evidence, you can really call it out. You can't really debunk anything if you're not caught up with the actual receipts yourself, okay? And like I said, I have been gone for 2 weeks. And I have to get caught up on the readings and the information. So when Candace or anyone is saying something, I can be like, no, that's not it. That's not it. Okay, I already read this first. So I skipped over the readings. Okay, so like I said, I read the chart and document already. And now we have this document right here. It's 141 pages of court records from the beginning to end. For Tyler James Robinson, the unaliver of Charlie Kirk, people don't believe it. Not everyone believes it. I believe that he is the actual suspect. Okay, there's a lot of evidence pointing towards him being. So he has, of course, charge 1, aggravated murder, first-degree felony, charge 2, felony discharge of firearm causing serious bodily injury. He has charge 3, which is obstruction of justice. Charge 4, same thing, but capital first degree. Tampering with a witness. He has that. I went over this already, but I'm briefly going over it again. Charge 7, violent offense committed in presence of a child, because minors were at this event. Okay. And the plaintiff, obviously, state of Utah. And then it goes over his information. He was born April 16th, 2003. And let's see. Let's scroll down. This is going over the case information. Docket. And this right here is the minute entry for the initial appearance. There was an initial appearance that everyone knows about on September 16, 2025. And the defendant was present. The clerk, Veronix, right here. The defendant is in the custody of the Utah County Jail. And it says, it gave the audio and says a copy of the information is given to the defendant. The information is read. advised of charges and penalties. The defendant is advised of right to counsel. And this, I think this is like a mini transcript right here. And it says here, and this matter comes before the court for an initial appearance. Mr. Greg Squirtles appears on behalf of the county, but does not enter an appearance in this case. Mr. Squirtles addresses the court regarding the appointment of Rule 8 qualified counsel. The court appoints the public defender's office and orders the Rule 8 qualifications of the appointed attorneys being filed prior to the next hearing. Mr. Grunander appears for the state and notifies the court that a notice of intent has now been filed with the court. Mr. Grunander also addresses the pretrial protective order and requests that the court grant the protective order. The court grants the request and will sign the order appointment of counsel. Court finds the defendant indigent, that means he's unable to afford an attorney at that time period, and appoints public defender to represent the defendant. And it says waiver hearing is scheduled for September 29, 2025. Again, this is at the onset. So that has passed, of course. And it says custody. The defendant is remanded to the custody of the Utah County Jail. This hearing will not take place at the courthouse. It will be conducted remotely. Contact the court to provide your current email address. If you do not have access to a phone or other electronic device to appear remotely, notify the court. So this is going over docket information, which I'm just skipping over. It says UCJA Rule 4-401. Court proceedings, including electronic proceedings, may not be recorded, photographed, or transmitted. Failure to comply with this prohibition may be treated as contempt of court, punishable by fine and time in jail. So let's skip down. These are just docket. No need to read this. And what is this one? This matter comes before the court for an unscheduled conference at the request of counsel. This proceeding is not recorded by FTR. And it says, counsel addressed the court regarding issues and concerns related to Mr. Robinson's appearance in open court. A discussion ensued regarding counsel's concerns, including matters of safety. Court addresses counsel and discloses prior employment with the county attorney's office. Counsel affirmed that no conflict exists. In anticipation of motions being filed concerning the defendant's appearance and in consideration of the late hour, counsel have agreed that Mr. Robinson will appear virtually for the hearing scheduled on Monday, September 29, 2025 at 10 a.m. So something about his appearance that they wanted him to appear virtually, and we all saw that, right? And he showed up virtually. The court will notify the appropriate agencies of this change. So let's go down. So it says this matter comes before court for a waiver hearing. This hearing is being recorded by FTR and WebEx. Counsel make appearances. Michael Burt and Richard Novak appear pro hoc vice. For the defendant, the court addresses counsel on the appearance of Mr. Burt and Mr. Novak and finds that the attorneys meet and exceed the requirements on the Rule 8. Court inquires as to the posture of today's hearing. Mr. Grenander addressed the court regarding Rule 16 and states that discovery will be sent once Ms. Nestor makes the request. Mr. Grenander also addressed the court on the protection order and discusses the issues of ongoing witnesses coming to light. Ms. Nestor addresses court. The court states it understands that there may be more witnesses as the investigation proceeds and asks counsel to share the order with witness as they become aware. Ms. Nestor addresses the court and states that it is not the intent of the defendant to waive his right to the preliminary hearing. Ms. Nestor also informs the court that she will not be requesting a detention hearing at this time, but will keep the court informed as to the scheduling of the preliminary hearing and filing a motion to address detention. Court addressed counsel and all patrons on the court's objective to preserve the rights of the defendant and victims. Court addressed counsel on the next hearing and states that it is the court's preference for an in-person hearing. Ms. Nestor agrees and will also like the next hearing to be in person with the defendant present. The court schedules the next court date. So he appeared virtually for something about his appearance, right? And they were requesting that he be in person the next time. In-person waiving hearing is scheduled October 30th, 2025 at 10 a.m. So I guess that's going to be the next thing is, it's October 26th. So in 4 days, there's going to be an in-person waiving hearing. So hopefully by then we're caught up with everything. So we'll be caught up by the time the 30th. That's the goal, right? Because I definitely want to keep up with this, right? So it says court proceedings, including electronic proceedings. We already know you can't re-record it. Let's scroll down. It says order to transport from the judge. And okay, let's go down. Okay, this matter comes before the court for a telephonic conference. The hearing is being recorded by FTR. Counsel are present along with Michael Burr appearing pro hoc vice. Court addresses counsel on issues. Court responded and agreed that a minute entry will suffice, supplementing the record regarding the telephonic conference conducted on Friday, September 26, 2025 at around 5:30 p.m. The clerk will prepare a minute entry consistent with the discussion of the court and counsel for the telephonic conference held on Friday, September 26, 2025 at around 5:30 p.m. I'm not going to read the docket entries. I'm just reading the notation. So I'm skipping through. Okay. And what I'm saying is I mostly have the actual filing, so I don't need to read the docket entries. I'd rather just scroll to the actual document it's referencing or citing, or noting, should I say. So this one right here is the information sheet, which I've already read. It goes over his charges, the information. Yeah, I'm not reading that again. Again, watch. It's a bunch of videos that have already talked about his charges. I read these already. Probable cause statement right here. And it says Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigations having probable cause to believe that the defendant committed the above listed offenses. I've already read this as well. Submitted the following evidence in support of the following of this information. On September 10th, 2025 at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University. And remember, Tyler Robertson went to Utah State University. That's where he got his scholarship from. People were confused, thinking it was Utah Valley. No, it's Utah State University that he went to, okay, for like a semester. Police found the suspected murder weapon. I'm not going over that. So anyways, if you're that far behind, you need to go back and back and back. We're already past the point of these receipts right here. Now, the Shooting Turning Point USA is a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist famous for these types of events, where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questionnaires to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows, which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when the gunshot rang out. The bullet, struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questionnaire who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is pending, and that was at that time. So I'm not going to read over this again. I read this before. It goes over the surveillance and times and things like that, and then the expanded crime scene investigation. And we already went over this already. So if you missed this, go back because these documents are already read. These are old. This live is not intended to go over rehash old receipts that most people should know about. If you're behind, like I said, go back. I read these charge and document and the indictment. That was old already. So let's skip down to what I have not read live. On September 12, 2025, 4 p.m., the defendant was arrested for the offenses of, they gave those offenses on September 12, 2025. And it says 4 p.m., the defendant was arrested for these offenses. And then it goes over the probable cause information again. So I'm not going to read that, but that goes over that. Submission identification information, Utah County Sheriff's Office. And obviously was not given a bail bond amount. Affidavit of probable cause. This is the same thing, so let me skip this. Public Safety Assessment Report, page 28. And let's see what it says. It gives us information. Arrest date of September 12, 2025. Elevated risk of committing violent crime. It says no. Age at current arrest, 22. Current violent offense, yes. Current violent offense at and 20 years old or younger, no. Pending charge at the time of the offense, no. Prior misdemeanor conviction, no. Prior felony conviction, no. Prior conviction, prior violent offense is 0. It says no. So it looks like it was his first, out of these things. Prior failure to appear older than 2 years, no. Prior sentence to incarceration, no. So this is pretty much looking like a used to something to evaluate his risk of future criminal activity or failure to appear in court or assessment, some situation like that. Probably to see if he's going to be able to get some sort of bond or pretrial release. I don't know. That's what it's looking like. But this is for a violent offense, and what he has done with Charlie Kirk, obviously he's not going to get out. And they also said they're seeking the death penalty, right? So, yeah. And it continues on. Let's see. Felon discharge of firearm causing serious bodily injury. Yeah. Aggravated unaliving. Obstruction of justice, capital first degree felony. Release on armed recognizance, no conditions, release for they're not letting him out. So this was the report they were trying to determine that, okay? And this was like pre-trial release conditions if released. But he wasn't released, obviously. So that chart was really just showing, like, you know, they were trying to determine if he was eligible for any sort of release or bond or anything, I guess, or risk factors of possible things. So let's see what this next document is on page 31. Order to hold without bail, probable cause ID. So obviously he was held without bail. Based on the affirmation of Brian Davis, the arresting officer, the undersigned magistrate finds that probable cause existed for the arrest without a warrant of Tyler James Robinson. The current offense is a capital felony, and the court finds substantial evidence to support the charge. Therefore, the court orders that Tyler James Robinson be held without bail. So we already knew he was going to be held without bail. Okay, the next document is a pretrial protective order. Victim needing protection, Erica. So Erica Kirk is Charlie Kirk's wife. So that says she needs protection. So this is and then that's blank. Defendant is Tyler Robinson, of course. The defendant represents a credible threat to the physical safety of the protected person. The protected person is not an intimate partner or cohabitant, but is an alleged victim. Okay. So they're just saying that she's an alleged victim. She's not any intimate partner or cohabitant of Tyler Robinson, but she is alleged victim. The defendant must obey all orders marked below, and it says this is not domestic violence or abuse, so this is not about him. Okay. No, now this one is check no contact or limited contact. You will not violate a protective order by attending a hearing with the protected person, but you must be a party to the case or required witness. All right, here. You must not harass, telephone contact, or otherwise communicate with the protected person directly or indirectly. And that includes email, text, social media. So pretty much Erica Kirk, I don't know why he would need to directly or indirectly communicate with Erica, but just in case he ever had the inclination or the idea, I guess, that he can't do that. So that was filed already. And that's obvious. He can't live at the protected person's residence. Stay away. The protected person's residence, school. Yeah. So anyways, that was filed. It looks like it's pretty much that he's the subject of it, and the protected person is Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife. And if he violates it, obviously this is a restraining order, protective order, is going to be arrest or a new charge. Okay. And obviously, with most protective orders, there is going to be some sort of restraint or restriction from owning a firearm or having one, or possessing one. Warning to resident: you must not go to the residence of the protected person. So this is obvious stuff. So let's go ahead and skip, okay? But so there is a protective order put in place for Erica. Now, there are some people that, they want to apologize to someone or get a message out to someone. So sometimes they might try to reach out, but he has to have no contact. Now, she did in her speech say she forgave him. What is this? State's notice of intent to seek the death penalty. We already know about the state's notice of intent, right? That they already said they were seeking it. The state of Utah, by and through its counsel, Jeffrey S. Gray, Utah County Attorney, and pursuant to Utah Code, hereby gives notice of its intent to seek the death penalty for count 1, aggravated murder as charged in the information. The decision to seek the death penalty is based on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime submitted the 16th day of September. Just a second. I hereby certify that I cause the state's notice of intent to seek the death penalty to be filed on September 6, 2025 through the court's e-filing system, with a copy thereof to defendant's duly appointed or retained counsel as determined by his at his first appearance, Jeffrey Gray, Utah County Attorney's Office. And this is a pre-trial protective order, which I already went over with Erica Kirk. I don't know why this is here twice, but we can skip it. Oh, wow, we're making progress. We're at 43 pages in. Now, if you are a member, I will put this on a members tab for those that missed other lives and you just want the full document. I will put it on my members tab, okay? And I'll have a couple of things put on my members tab, but yeah, bear with me, bear with me. And what is this right here? Okay, this is the restraining order still. Let's skip down. Okay, this is minutes, initial appearance. I think I already read this. So I already read this already. The initial appearance minutes. I read that already. The defendant is remanded to the custody of Utah County Jail. This hearing will not take place at the courthouse. It will be conducted remotely. Contact the court to provide your current email address. If you do not have access to a phone or other electronic device to appear remotely, notify the court. And let's scroll down. Protection order pretrial and trial regarding pretrial and trial publicity. Defendant Tyler James Robertson is charged with one count of aggravated murder and other felonies. This case has generated and is likely to continue to generate significant pretrial and trial publicity. The publicity can compromise defendant Tyler James Robinson's right to due process of law, as well as both parties' rights to a fair and impartial jury trial. Trial publicity is of particular concern because it contains the prospective jury pool. To protect the parties' fundamental rights, the court on its own motion issues the following. So now this is where Candace Owens comes into play, where she's saying there's a gag order. This is actually old. And this is not, in my opinion, it doesn't apply to her. So let me actually pull up her community post so I can talk to you about what she posts about alleged gag order. Okay, hold on.
Tremendous good he did in his life. Charlie courageously advocated for the sacred principles of freedom, constructive discourse, truth, family values, and common sense. He taught with humor and wisdom and backed up his beliefs with data and facts. He set a powerful example of reaching out and talking to those who disagreed with him. We mourn his passing, but what he taught us continues to resonate with even more power.
A message from all of us at Riverbend Ranch.
Also want to remind you guys of Beekeepers Natural, because as a mom of 4 young kids, life is constantly on the move. There's school drop-offs, there's work, there's travel, there's play dates, and let's be honest, germs are everywhere. That's why I'm so thankful for Beekeepers Naturals and their amazing propolis throat spray. We recently launched a kid-friendly version, and also telling you guys about Just Thrive, because as we know, the biggest health secrets that they don't tell you about is that no other probiotic can. It look like the same person, like ish, but like no, and that feels intentionally grainy. You could release clearer footage. You know you can release clearer footage. So do it, because we're not going to let it go. I now believe there is a federal level of corruption and conspiracy involved in this murder, okay? From George Zinn to Lance Twiggs, the unanswered questions were like, what was he doing at home? What does he do for a living? Did they see each other that night? Why are we doctoring their messages? Why can't I read Lance's messages? If he's being so forthcoming, why can't I read how he replied and at what time these messages were sent, okay? There are too many things that the feds can easily do to dissuade us, okay? And they're not doing any of it. They're just doing that thing which is like, are we still talking about it? No, now they're actually doing the like, this is inappropriate. Charlie's funeral's coming up. Stop yourselves right now, okay? Stop. This is exactly, no, oh, you're inappropriate. No, you know what was inappropriate? Charlie Kirk getting shot. While we all had to watch that, we are all suffering PTSD and the lack of answers that we are getting from the feds. That is the only thing here that is happening that is inappropriate. I want to be very clear. Actually, not the only thing.
So, by the way, I'm starting from back 2 weeks ago where I left off at and going through her videos to catch up on what's happening. So I'm hoping that she doesn't really make any more videos until I get caught up. Okay. Just a second. I have to go to her Twitter to get this gag message.
Bibi Netanyahu trying to spin this into, he's my good friend, I just invited him. Well, Tucker Carlson completely shredded that narrative. I don't like that Bibi lied so quickly. It doesn't make me comfortable. I don't like it, okay? And he just went live yesterday. He also brought in Megyn Kelly and other people, and he spoke about what Charlie was going through because he saw him very shortly before his assassination, and he intimates to everybody what it was exactly that was on Charlie Kirk's mind and what he was living through in that moment. Take a listen.
I was shocked and sickened by the reaction of the ghoulish and really repulsive reaction of the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to Charlie's death. Basically made it all about him and all about his country, immediately trying to take the energy, the sadness, the grief that people felt over Charlie's murder and redirect it towards support for whatever project he's involved in. And by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu is not the same as the nation of Israel at all. Bibi is despised by many people in Israel, and if you know people who live there, you know that that's true. There are huge divisions within the Israeli government. I mean, there are certain parts of the intel world in Israel that do not support some things that Benjamin Netanyahu has done recently. So it's not the same as attacking Israel, attacking Bibi, but I don't think I've ever seen anything lower than his attempt to hijack Charlie's memory and use it for his own political ends, particularly because what he said was completely untrue. Charlie didn't hate Jews. He loved Jews. He had tons of friends who were Jews. He loved the state of Israel. He loved going there. He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was above all.
Okay, hold on a second. I believe that she's talking about this gag thing to make herself. So I think she's probably stopped for a different reason, and then is using this gag order lie as a way. The only way she could be gagged is if someone is telling her to stop. Because I remember one video that before I left, she said something about she would stop if Erica Kirk wanted her to stop, she would stop. Right? That's what I got, right? But as far as the court, there's no document that I'm showing in these documents because that's why I checked. And I don't see anything about it. Hold on. So right here on October 19th, Candace took to her Twitter, now X, and she says, don't worry about the gag order in the Charlie Kirk case. So she didn't say like a gag order against someone like out here just saying, hey, shut your fucking mouth. She's actually saying, don't worry about the gag order in the Charlie Kirk case. And then she says, I plan to violate it on the world's behalf. On the world's behalf. The things I discovered this past week are enough to burn the house down. Yes, Charlie was betrayed by everyone. So she's making stuff up. There's no gag order in the Charlie Kirk case that applies to you. I don't believe that it applies to you. How would it apply to you? So let's look at why she would assume it would apply to her. I plan to violate it on the world's behalf. The things I've discovered this past week are enough to burn the house down. So let me read this document to you and let's see who it all applies to.
Resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true. Shortly after that speech, there was a very intense attack on Charlie, and to some extent on me, not that I really noted.
So this is the document she's referring to. So let's go over whether or not she has a gag order, or is this does this apply to Candace Owens? Let me zoom in. So in the 4th Judicial District Court, they do have a protection order for pretrial and trial publicity. Okay, and it's going to be a widely publicized case and an issue of particular concern because it contains the prospective jury pool, and for due process and fairness. For his trial, you don't want to taint the jury pool. So you could put a gag on certain people to shut up. To protect the party's fundamental rights, the court on its own motion. So the court did this on their own motion, realizing this is a major trial, a big trial. People are going to be looking forward to the outcome. It says lawyers who have, pay attention to who's actually it pertains to, lawyers who have participated, who are not participating, or who will yet participate in the investigation or litigation of this case in any way shall abide by Rule 3.6 of the Utah Rules of Professional Conduct. Rule 3.6 prohibits a lawyer from making an extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing. It's prejudicial, okay? And adjudicative proceeding in the matter. And it says Utah, and it gives that code. And it says lawyers who have participated, who are not participating, or will yet participate in the investigation or litigation of this case shall not intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly permit a witness, investigator, consultant, staff member, or other member of the prosecution or defense team to make extrajudicial statements, which, if made by the lawyer, would violate Rule 3.6. So it says permit a witness, investigator, consultant, staff member, or other member of the prosecution or defense team. It says, to that end, lawyers participating in the investigation or litigation of this case shall inform all witnesses, investigators, consultants, staff members, or other members of the prosecution or defense teams about the prohibitions contained in this order. This protection order applies to lawyers who are not participating in the investigation or litigation of this case, but who are associated with the Utah County Attorney's Office or associated with defense counsel's firms. Court staff is also ordered to not make public statements that will violate the provisions of this order. This order does not prohibit lawyers from making statements permitted by Rule 3.6. And that was dated, that was early on, September 16th. So why would she believe that she is actually gagged? So beyond lawyers, it says it includes a witness. Let me go back up. Witness, investigator, consultant, staff member, or other member of the prosecution or defense team. So is she a known witness for the shooting event? I don't think she's an actual witness for the shooting event. I don't see her anywhere in any documents as far as the probable cause, at least. So, is she trying to say that someone from the prosecutor's office or defense team are going to use her as a witness to something? Has she been contacted by a lawyer saying that she's going to be a witness in this case for any reason? Is it possible that she could be called as a witness because she's posting text messages from Charlie Kirk before he went to this Utah? And she, could she be a potential witness in this case for any reason at all? The defense or prosecution could call her as a witness based on things she has said publicly, or things that she might, or certain things before. But I don't really see her. What can she actually give as far as the actual trial goes, and as far as the unaliving, and not the conspiracy stuff, but as just an acquaintance or friend of Charlie Kirk. If any side were to call her, wanted to call her, then she obviously will be a possible witness. But the gag order is for witnesses. Like, I guess they would say that she's, so it's not like a possible, it's saying that they will have to already had contacted her already and said you're going to be a witness, not like in the future, because how would she know? And she obviously is not an investigator or a member of the staff or anything like that. So that's not going to fall for being a consultant, member, staff, or any of that. Could she be like a non-party or some other type of witness? I mean, she's implying and insinuating all the time that she has information, but to be honest, it's all conspiracy information to me. But if someone feels like she might have information and they feel like it can mess up the case, they might have contacted her, a lawyer or something. But I think she probably would have said that she was contacted. Why wouldn't Candace Owens say, I have been called as a witness? That's something that will kind of like, give her a lot of attention. Like, oh, I'm going to be a witness in the case. But she's not saying that. So if she's not saying it, then why would she withhold it? Right? So do I believe that Candace Owens is going to be a witness in this Charlie Kirk case, or is she just saying this just for attention that she's gagged? If no lawyer has contacted her about being a witness or anything like that, she's not gagged. I will say this. If she has not been contacted by anyone as a witness, she's not gagged. She's free to talk all she wants to until she's called as a witness. And she's knowing she's going to be a witness at that moment. And that point, she has to cease. But as long as she's not been called as a witness or by the defense or prosecution, yeah, she would have added that. Like, yeah, so I don't believe nothing Candace says. I believe that she realizes that that's a scam and it's over. She realizes that her lies are gonna end, because when you're making up stuff and narratives, Every time you make up stuff, the truth is going to come out. Eventually, when all the receipts are out and all the evidence in the trial is done, you're going to look stupid because all those videos you have of this happened and that happened, the police and law enforcement, the government is going to have a bunch of receipts to nail Tyler Robinson as a suspect. And all your videos are going to look, you're a smart person, but you're going to look stupid. I wouldn't want a lot of videos up and then a trial ends and all these videos I have up are wrong and false or misleading. That's so embarrassing to have a bunch of videos after trial ends. And then those videos were all inaccurate and far off. Like, that would be embarrassing. Okay, so it's best it's quit while you're, before you get too far. Like, yeah. So anyways, let's go ahead and get through some more of these documents. So anyways, do y'all believe that she has that gag order? I don't know, because I believe that if they had called her as a witness, she would have already said it, because like, who wouldn't say, oh, I'm a witness so I can't speak? She would add that in her post. I'm a witness so I have been gagged as a witness, but there's nothing. Or maybe if you're gagged, you can't even say you're a witness. Maybe you have to be quiet or mute if you're a witness. Can you say you're a witness, or is that still problematic? So so the next page is, let's see. Why do they keep on posting the same thing? Pre-trial protective order. We already have that. So let me scroll down. Hello, Nitty and Skilo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. No, what would she have to add but conspiracies? Yeah, exactly. I don't believe it. Oh Lord. Anyways, let's scroll past this. Child, I might have downloaded the same thing more than once. They might have had on the docket more than once. I don't know, but hey, I guess I paid for extra stuff. So anyways, it is hereby ordered that Tyler Robinson be transported for waiver hearing on Monday, September 29th at 10 a.m. before the Honorable Judge Tony Graf. And the hearing was held in courtroom 4B. We're getting close to getting, let's see. Now, what is this document pertaining to? This is formal request for discovery pursuant to URCP 16 and request for 404 notice of request for discovery. Defendant Tyler James Robinson, by and through undersigned counsel, requests the state of Utah for discovery production and 404 notice in the above title matter pursuant to Utah Rule of Criminal Procedure. Further, where the state has provided notice of its intent to seek the death penalty in this case, this request is made pursuant to 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution. It says this initial discovery request includes mandatory disclosure as well as additional specific requests. Of note, the prosecutor's duty to disclose on the URCP 16 is a continuing duty. In making these requests, defendant acknowledges the negotiated. Yeah, I gotta probably do some more later because I'm like, I did a 5-hour and something live earlier, and now I'm back to like 4 hours. So it's like it's time for me to get off. So will we get through all these documents today? It doesn't look like it. Okay. In making these requests, defendant acknowledges the negotiated history, negotiated discovery protective order stipulated by the parties and as contemplated. It says defendant requests production of all evidence that the prosecutor relied upon to file the information within 5 days of receiving this request. So this is the request for discovery. Obviously, the defense wants to know everything that the prosecutors have. What receipts do you have? We say receipts on social media, so I'm just using that example. What evidence do you have that you're going to use against me in this trial? I have the right to know so I can prepare, and I have the right to defend myself against any evidence you're going to bring. So you have the right to have this evidence ahead of time. Defendant requests production of all evidence that the prosecutor relied upon to follow the information within 5 days of receiving this request. Pursuant to URCP 1682, for requested material or information not relied upon to follow the information, defendant requests the state to disclose before any pretrial detention hearing, the preliminary examination or waiver or preliminary hearing, and before the defendant enters a plea of guilty or no contest that goes to trial. So before he enters any plea, he wants to know what evidence is before him. Obviously, if someone has a lot of evidence against you and you're going to be nailed, you might, decide one way. If someone lacks evidence or is not sufficient, you might want to say not guilty or whatever else, because you obviously know you might have a way to weasel your way out or, argue this. But you definitely want to know your odds, right? And to know your odds, you need to know every single piece of evidence you have or they have against you. Defendant does not waive any discovery, timing of disclosure, or rights associated therewith. Additionally, defendant requests the state to respond to this request in writing, and if applicable, identify with specificity the portions of requested material information that will not be produced. Okay, hold on.
But on him, I have no donors. He had $100 million worth of donors. And so, because he was involved in a different project from just yapping on the internet, which is what I do for a living, he was dependent to a great extent on his donors, of course. It's a nonprofit. And they went after him and tormented him. Not all, of course, many were supportive, but the ones who were offended by my speech, and there was a small, very intense group who were, tormented Charlie Kirk until the day he died. 2 days before he died, he lost a $2 million donation because he had publicly pledged to bring me to the next Turning Point conference in December. And he told me over the past couple of months he was losing a lot of donations over that pledge. They put out a flyer basically saying that I was going to be at this event giving a speech. And so he would text me and say, man, I'm really taking a lot of heat for this, and people are really mad. The American Jewish Committee called in a...
And that's the thing about it. People understand that if you don't say or do what people want you to say or do, they will withdraw or withhold their support and funding and backing. And that is a way to where people realize, hey, I don't really have that much freedom. I am someone that have to watch what I say or do or perform a certain way or do certain things to get support or I'll lose it. So that is something. It's a lot to it, okay? But yeah, back to the documents. They have to identify with specificity the portions are requested material information that will not be produced, okay? And says, finally, the defendant requests the state to comply with their discovery obligations continuing throughout the litigation of this case as is required by Utah Rule of Criminal Procedure. And says the defendant seeks to hold the state to its discovery obligations, the entirety of the above titled manner, in order to enforce the full benefits of their Utah United States constitutional rights to due process for the criminally accused. So I'm not going to actually read this whole thing. I'm actually going to skip down to what he wants or what they're requesting for discovery. Mandatory disclosures include written or recorded statements of the defendant and any co-defendants and the substance of any unrecorded oral statements made by the defendant and any co-defendants to law enforcement officials. Reports and results of any physical or mental examination or of any identification procedure and of any scientific test or experiment. Physical and electronic evidence, including any warrants, warrant affidavits, books, papers, documents, photographs, and digital media recordings, written or recorded statements of witnesses, reports prepared by law enforcement officials, and any notes that are not incorporated into such report, and evidence that must be disclosed under the United States and Utah constitutions, including all evidence favorable to the defendant that is material to guilt or punishment. In every case, all material or information listed in URCP that is presently and reasonably available to the prosecutor must be disclosed before the preliminary examination, if applicable. And it says, or before the defendant enters a plea of guilty. So this is just requesting. I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but it's requesting discovery. This is a typical form. It's a typical process. Every defendant has a right to discovery as to what the prosecutors are going to use against them in the court of law. They have the right to that information so they can properly prepare and defend themselves against the evidence and what is being used, okay? And what was used to actually charge them in the first place. And that information. They want 911 audio recordings and unofficial transcripts. They want body cam. They want complete extraction of cell phones. They want to know what you took our cell phones. Now, what metadata did you take out of the cell phones? The call logs, any cell phone evidence that was collected. We want it all. Let us know everything that you have that you're going to use against us in the court. Complete copies of hard drives or other electronic storage and any electronic seeds. What did you get from the computers? What did you get from the devices? Where are the original writings, recordings, photographs? Are duplicate that accurately reproduces the original? Where is it? They want everything that you have that you're going to use in court. So I'm skipping over this, let you know. When I say everything, they're not going to list everything, but anything that you're going to use against a defendant, you have to let them know as part of discovery. Recordings, transcripts, whatever. Have the date and the time and substance of any and all further contact between any investigating officer and any defendant, co-defendant, or witness in the above captioned matter. All photographs, any physical evidence taken from the defendant and any co-defendant or the alleged crime scene. They want it all. And all documents regarding the chain of custody. Who had this first? Who next? Who handled this evidence in the chain of custody? From one person to the next, how was this handled? Of any physical evidence identifying, including but not limited to, a description of the method of packaging and handling of the evidence. You want to know who handled each piece of evidence. And that's also important, especially when it comes to DNA, because if one person touches it and another person touches it or something happens, and then, they run a sample and then there's some sort of DNA sample, like who could possibly be a suspect? And hey, maybe it was actually someone that's investigated, was handling the case, and maybe their DNA is on it. So you have to have the chain of custody so you can see what's happening with the evidence and who's doing what and when. Any and all documentation regarding consent by interested parties to secure any physical evidence. I'm going to skip down now. I think everyone gets the point. When it comes to the discovery, they want every piece of evidence you're going to use in the court. If you watch the Diddy trial, they had exhibit 1 through a million. Exhibit. You got to have everything labeled and what's the evidence. Exhibit. 1 through a million. Label it. They will all unredacted reports, written summary of any testimony, unredacted copies. This is going on for pages. So there is obviously a serious case, death penalty, capital punishment. They are wanting every single piece of evidence that the prosecutors have. And they want all this in 5 days. Yeah. And so then it goes to there. Let's go down. So that is on page, let's see, I think 72. Email me a link where I can listen to the audio using for the record. This is the quickest way to get the audio. Request for a copy of audio recording. And what is this? Motion for permission to file overlift motion to appear in civilian clothing and without restraints. Defendant Tyler James Robertson, by and through undersigned counsel, hereby requests permission to file his overlift motion to appear at all in-person proceedings in civilian clothing and without restraints and memorandum in support. So he doesn't want to be in jail. I mean, not in jail. He doesn't want to be in court and jumps like his orange or whatever colors they have for that jail. You know, he wants to be in civilian everyday clothing and not be in restraints. And to be honest, for optics, as a defendant, you should never want to appear in court shackled and in a jumpsuit, because that makes you look guilty already, like you're already shackled up. If you're actually in plain civilian clothing, it makes you look like you're just one of the people in the courtroom. It humanizes you more and makes you more, less guilty looking. Like, you're not already shackled up. So some people are going to be requesting that they want to look like, they want him in there looking like a college student, scrawny, little college student, so people can feel sorry for him. Him and shackled up wearing a jumpsuit, he's gonna get less sympathy. Let's be honest, it's all about appearances for the jury. And it says defendant stands accused of, why he should get this overlift motion is because he stands accused of aggravated murder, and the state has already notified the defendant of his intention to seek the death penalty. The motion raises constitutional concerns integral to defendant's rights to due process and a fair trial. Defendant must convey what is necessary both to fully inform the court. So he wants to file a motion to appear in civilian clothing, but I guess he needs more pages to actually file it, because sometimes you're trying to file a motion, you need more pages. That's not enough for you to explain yourself properly or get your point across. So you need the ability to file more papers or extend the length of the motion, right? It says, while the defendant has endeavored to be concise in briefing, the additional length is necessary to meet his burdens of persuasion and preservation. Okay, if you only have a few pages, you might feel like you can't be as persuasive in things and preserve all your arguments. So you need to extend the pages or ask for permission to extend it. You don't automatically get that. And order granted motion for permission to file overlength motion to appear in civilian clothing without. So it says, based on the defendant's motion, good cause appearing, the defendant is granted permission to file a motion consisting of 18 pages without the certificate of service. So that's 18 pages, and then one additional page, obviously, you can have for the certificate of service. So it says it's not including that. So you have 18 pages standalone, and then we're not going to say that you have to squeeze in the certificate of service. So essentially you have 18 pages, and then you can also add on additional pages for like the certificate of service. Okay. And let's go down. This was a stipulated motion for discovery protective order. The parties respectfully request that the court issue a protective order governing the disclosure of discovery material produced to the defendant through his counsel, and further restricting the disclosure of personal identifying information of witnesses. So they already have, obviously, the witnesses. Some witnesses they're going to use. I'm not saying all. And they pretty much want to make sure that when they release all this information of discovery, they want it protected. Like, you don't want this leaked. Like, yes, you need your discovery for your defense, but we also need to protect this evidence because this is an ongoing open case. It's an investigation. We're looking into this, and we don't need this leaked. This can mess up our case. So they want a protective order for it. Utah Rule of Criminal Procedure 16D allows the parties to impose reasonable limitations on further dissemination of sensitive information provided in discovery to protect victims and witnesses. They don't want people to know who's all going to be victims or witnesses or labeled as such, because that could put them in danger. The prosecutor or defendant may impose reasonable limitations on the further dissemination of sensitive information otherwise. So is it possible that Candace Owens was contacted by one of the one side saying that they needed something? Maybe she has text messages or something before, she said before Charlie Kirk went down there, I guess there was some sort of exchange. So maybe they, I don't know. But I don't believe that she's gagged, but I'm not saying that it's impossible either. I don't know. The prosecutor or defendant may impose reasonable limitations on the further dissemination of sensitive information otherwise subject to discovery to prevent improper use of the information or to protect victims and witnesses from harassment, abuse, or undue invasion of privacy, including limitations on the further dissemination of recorded interviews, photographs, or psychological or medical reports. Upon sufficient showing, the court may at any time order that discovery or inspection to be denied, restricted, or deferred. That limitations on the further dissemination of discovery be modified or make such other order as is appropriate. And it says, why did I jump down pages? Information provided and discovery should not be shared with any person or entity outside of the defense team, but may be reviewed by potential witnesses in the presence of a member of the defense team. So I'm not going to read through all this whole thing. It's just pretty much going over who can know about discovery items or be privy to the information or see the information or review the information, or there's going to be limitations on the personal identifying information, including date of birth, social security numbers, etc., of any names, include the names of witnesses and things like that. So if Candace Owens does have a gag, they might not even want people to know that she's a witness in the case or any that she's going to be called in this case. Now, why would she be called? I don't know. She's the one saying that she was gagged, but I don't believe everything Candace says. I'll be honest, because yeah. But I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible either. I'm just saying that I would need proof, like a witness list. If her name shows up on a witness list, that's when I believe it. Until then, I'm skeptical. So anyways, interim order. This is the interim order. Defendant's motion to appear in civilian clothing and without restraints. So they feel like this will not be fully briefed before his October 30th hearing that's coming up, in-person hearing. So they are trying to do an interim relief. They want a temporary order allowing Mr. Robertson to appear in civilian clothing and without visible restraints at any in-person public hearing held prior to the determination of the motion, and a closed hearing for the court to receive evidence regarding the need for physical restraints in this particular case and the opportunity for further brief this case. And they also want an order from this court compelling the Utah County Sheriff's Department to disclose all files, records, correspondence, and reports created by or in possession of the department relating to the defendant's motion. is they pretty much set a briefing schedule. A briefing schedule is to say the state must reply by this date of October 20th, and Mr. Robinson will have until the end of the day on October 22nd to file a reply. Is setting up the schedule of when people will respond, pretty much. Motion to classify as private a response to the defendant's motion to appear at an all in-person proceedings in civilian clothing without restraints. So I'm actually going to stop here because I'm tired, and I will pick up in the next live about on page 90, okay? Because I want to make sure I'm thorough and I go over these. There's also going to be other stuff in this as well. Like I said, we're on page 90. Hold on. Yeah. So we're gonna pick back up in this video with Candace Owens, and then also on page 90. So we will continue through this. And like I said, I'm gonna make sure I'm done with this before his next hearing, so we can be updated on the progress of this trial or this case, okay? But yeah, that was filed by the state and the Utah County Sheriff's Office. And they were pretty much saying that it contains sensitive information, secure information from the court security director regarding security measures in the case as well. They have that document, okay? And by the way, he felt like this would not, his real order wanting certain things would not be heard by October 30th. So he was wanting an interim, like in the meantime, can we have something in place? Okay. So now we're gonna leave off here on page 92, which is an order granting motion to classify as private the response to defendant's motion to appear at an all in-person proceeding in civilian clothing and without restraints. So what we can be looking forward to, obviously it looks like they're arguing about how he should appear in court with shackles or not shackles and things like that. Y'all have a great day. I will see y'all later. Now that it's this time of day, I'm going to actually reschedule. What I was going to do tomorrow afternoon or after show cafe for races, I'm going to actually reschedule that. And the only thing I'm going to do now is my night show or after show cafe, which is the impersonation contest. So we're still going to do the impersonation contest, but that's going to be at night. So I'm not going to be back until nighttime. And then for Candace Owens, I'm going to be back on Monday. For Candace Owens on page 92 of this. And we're also going to, by that time, we will have all the information to debunk a lot of the stuff, conspiracy stuff. And we are going to be at 46 minutes in this video, and we still have a bunch of videos to debunking and call out, okay? But yeah, have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all, for some people, I will see you on the After Show Cafe for the contest. All right, y'all, bye.
I gotta go. I gotta go. Don't ask me why. I gotta go. I should've left a long time ago. I don't even know how I got here, but I gotta go. Things have explore.